A very good afternoon and welcome to all the listeners on 5 Sports Extra. This is the last game of round 4 of the Six Nations, and boy is it a big one. We're going to be bringing you full commentary of Scotland against Ireland, a match that could determine what will be an incredible final weekend. We've got Ireland going for the Grand Slam still if they can get a win here, but then Scotland, are they about to blow this whole tournament wide open? Stuart Hogg has just walked out to the pitch with his family on the occasion of his 100th cap, and then a short time after him we got to see Gary Ringrose come out on the occasion of his 50th cap. In a few moments time we'll get to speak to former Ireland international Shane Horgan, also former Scotland international Johnny Beattie. I can tell you there was certainly a lump in my throat when Stuart Hogg came out. I think if you're a parent, that was a tough one, but a beautiful... Oh, Johnny Beattie's gone, he can't even talk about it. Shane.
It was, and we're welling up here. It was absolutely beautiful. Little girl in his arms, a special moment for him and his family, and well done, mate.
Right then, before we get underway, before we talk about this match, we will of course have the anthems. Of course, that was the anthem for Ireland. Next, you'll be hearing Flower of Scotland.
Remain standing for Flower of Scotland.
Listening to 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. We're going to be bringing you commentary of Scotland against Ireland in the 4th round of the Six Nations, the final game of the round. My name is Sarah Orchard. Alongside me, I'm delighted to say we've got former Ireland international Shane Horgan, former Scotland international Johnny Beattie. I'll run through the teams in just a few seconds time, but first of all, if I come to you now, Johnny, because I think you're ready to talk, we have to say a little something about Stuart Hogg. 100 caps, a beautiful moment for him and a big game for him.
Huge game for him, but just that moment, getting to cherish that. Seen Rory Best with Ireland as well, 124 caps, but getting to share that with your family in a stadium such as this, with the atmosphere, the anthems, just an incredible setting. Next to me, goosebumps all round, everybody loving it, and the stage is set for Stuart Hogg to try and upset Ireland, #1 team in the world, but a huge game of rugby coming.
I don't hear Flower of Scotland as often as you might, but that seemed like a particularly emotional rendition. There is nobody late in the stadium. It is packed out and everyone is very invested in this game.
And I can tell you now, one of Stuart Hogg's little boys is running out with the match ball onto the pitch, put it in the middle. I mean, if Scotland are not ready for this, they never will be. And it's Luke Pearce, the referee, who takes it off him. As his dad says, thanks, son. Back to the stand. And
that is then the challenge for every single one of those teammates. They want to gift that to Stuart Hogg. Can you give his family, make this moment even more special for them? Here's hoping so.
Right then, let's quickly run you through the lineups as the teams get ready to get underway for Ireland. There are 6 changes. It's arguably the strongest Ireland team we've seen. Hugo Keenan at fullback, Hansen and Lowe on the wings. The returning Ring Rose from injury at 13 alongside Aki at 12. Sexton and Murray are halfbacks with Porter, Sheehan and Furlong in the front row. Henderson and Ryan in the second row. And then the back row made up of O'Mahony, who returns to the start, Van der Fleur at 7 and then Doris at 8. Moving on to Scotland, only 2 changes, both in the forwards. We've seen this lineup in the back line now in every single fixture. Hogg, Steyn, Jones, Tuipulotu, Van der Merwe, Russell and White. And I'll run you through the forwards in a moment's time because we're about to get underway. Ireland will be keeping from left to right. They'll be getting us underway, wearing, of course, their green shirts, white shorts. Here we go. Sexton puts the ball into the Scottish sky and it comes down straight away to Jack Dempsey, wearing 8 for Scotland. Big moment for him here today. Of course, Grant Gilchrist got that red card. It means things have slightly changed in that Scottish pack. We'll talk them through them shortly at the first breakdown. But it's Scottish ball. They're inside of their own 22, bang on the line at the moment. They're playing from right to left in this first half, of course, wearing those dark blue shirts and white shorts. A little bit of cover eventually comes in for Ben White to get the box kick away. And Hugo Keenan just juggled a rugby ball. Oh, the nerves, the tension. It's already underway here at Murrayfield. It's okay. It wasn't a knock-on as Doris gathers. And he pushes for Ireland over the halfway line. And the ball is down on the floor. It's trying to be dug out at the moment by Conor Murray. There is Jamison Gibson-Park, who is on the bench. He could make his first Six Nations appearance for Ireland this weekend. As once again Ireland hold on to the ball. They just go through a couple of phases as we wait for Murray to deploy a box kick that does come down this near side touch. Tracking across is Russell and he calls for the markers. I just quickly tell you, in the Scottish forwards, it's Schoeman, Turner and Fakeson in the front row, Gray and Gray in that second row, and Fakeson, Ritchie and Dempsey as the ball is kicked straight back. And I look round at you two and go, are you both all right?
And he's not waiting for his order. There's a real urgency in what Scotland are doing. Ireland have started quickly since, I think, all the way back to the summer test. It's been a hallmark of what they're doing. Scotland obviously want to counteract that, then with the territory in the opening few minutes.
Well, from Russell's kick from the mark, it's gone all the way back down the other end of the field. It's just outside of the Irish 22. It's a mark, so it's still an Irish line out. That was well contested in the air, I have to say, but it was taken in the end by Henderson. It's a green ball inside of their own half between the 20 and the 22. Wonderful run there by Doris. I mean, would we expect any less than the meters he has made in this championship so far? Taken by the near side in Steyn. It was actually Van der Merwe who took it on. He places it backwards. Schoeman now. He's just inside of the Scottish half of the field by about 5 metres. Still 0-0 if you're joining us here on 5 Sports Extra. Between these two sides, the ball does bobble along the floor. In the end, it is gathered out on the far side. Still in Scottish hands, but they're playing their way out of their own half at the moment. It's always about the energy that is deployed in these situations and whether it's all going to be worth it if it does breed anything off the other side of all that effort and energy. Down on the floor, rolling along goes Xander Fagerson, the Glasgow man. Missed that England game with a hamstring tear, but back into the mix now, and here comes Scotland. Wonderful run by Hugh Jones on the near side. He's made good ground as well. Scotland entering the Irish half of the field by 10 metres. Russell, there's that long pass of his. He's got the longest passing metres of anyone in the Six Nations, and no one will be surprised when you hear it. Then he kicks the ball through. Keenan is there waiting though inside of the Irish 22, and he uses his yellow boots to send it down to the far side of the field. It's not touched on advertising hoarding, so it could be a quick line out, but no. Are they going to breathe?
Well, it looks like Richie Gray's struggling in the middle of the field. Looks like he's taken a big bang in his ribs. Creative and enterprising play from Scotland, though, trying to find that little break, the outside channel, the edge of the defensive line for Allen. Can they get in between the 13-wing channel? That's where they'll look for joy.
And yeah, we saw them going wide and having a bit of doing well getting out to that wide channel, but we also saw the other side of Scotland, which was the ball on the deck, and that's the part of the game they have to eliminate because Ireland will capitalise on it.
I'd say Richie Gray, he has rejoined the line out on the far side of the field for Scotland. He keeps lifting up his right arm, so we'll keep a close eye on that one. But Ireland They have stolen that line out. Something did not function well there for Scotland, and they're now attacking between the 10 and the 22 inside of the Scotland half. Sexton, we know how deadly they can be in these situations. Aki punching holes once again. Murray looks up towards this near side of the field. Ringrose is there. Slight overrun there by Hugo Keenan. Has to get back and then do a little bit of rucking duties. Sexton back inside to Murray, making sure that Sexton keeps out of contact. No scrum half. In the end, it's going to be Ringrose who deploys duties. Henderson, he rucks and rolls forward, and Ireland so far being kept out of that Scottish 22. Ringrose again playing scrum half to Aki. Oh, it's a really nice line there by Aki. Up towards that 22-metre line, and that's a pass to nothing. Now, that's a rare mistake you see from Ireland. No one was ready for that. Slight miscommunication, and they lose about 5 metres in the process. Fishing towards the far side. Sexton's seen enough, and he kicks it through. He's going to force Scotland towards a line out inside their own 22.
And force them to play out again. That big turnover coming from a misfire line out time just around halfway. George Turner throwing to nobody. Scotland off and playing though.
Oh my goodness, that was a huge overthrow. Ireland read it brilliantly and is now all kinds of confusion in the middle. We need to check the player who's gone over, but it looks like Ireland might have scored, but I think they're going to go back and check something first. Luke Pearce, our referee from England, has blown his whistle.
Just may have an issue with the new ball here. If they want to play with a new ball, it's no problem. That's their problem.
Okay, for anyone that doesn't know, you've got to be careful if you introduce a new ball. It depends where it was kicked out.
Just 2 seconds.
That's if we scored.
I haven't said a word yet. I'm just going to check my.
Yeah, but that's.
Okay, the voices you can hear is of Luke Pearce. He's just going to go in and he's going to check.
They've gone over and scored the try.
They've taken a quick line out, but it's with a different ball, so they can't do.
So Scotland have thrown the ball with the new ball. Okay.
Okay, you can't. It has to be the same ball if you're going to take a quick line out.
But what's the definition of a quick line out? It's the hooker that's thrown the ball into the line. The line is set, so really, they have really gotten away with this. 2 big line out errors.
They've just thrown it in quickly as opposed to a quick line out, as it were.
But it's George Turner that's taking the ball. That should be a try.
It doesn't. Maybe it's not fully formed, but what a catch! Okay, that was insane.
We're talking about too many things at the same time. So basically, you have to use the same ball if it's going to be a quick line out. If it goes into the stand or something like that, that's when you can't use it. I don't actually know if the original ball actually went out or not. That's irrelevant because they picked up the one that had been dropped on the floor by the ball boy, took that one quickly, and we're back to square one is what you need to know. It's a Scottish line out, 5 metres from their own line. That was a good line out from them as well, and they're coming away with the ball now. Down on the ground, 6 metres out from their own try line. Scotland are under a bit of pressure here. This could be turnover ball for Ireland. They fancy it. It's in there somewhere. It is going to come out on the Irish side, but no, offside, says Luke Pearce. It will be a Scotland penalty.
Whatever about the rights and wrongs of the quick line out, it is shown that Scotland want to play with tempo. We saw Finn Russell earlier tapping, long kick. Everyone is moving at pace. They see the tempo game as the way to get to Ireland.
Tempo, yes, but it has to be measured and controlled. If you want to inject pace into the game, your drill still has to be spot on, and Scotland really there can count themselves lucky not to be 5 points down.
Okay, and it looks like Scotland are about to make a change as well. We saw a little bit earlier, there was a bit of treatment going on to Richie Gray. We just got confirmation of that at the moment. We can see that Scott Cummings is onto the field of play. There's also an Irish play at the moment who's down injured. I think it's Josh van der Fleer.
I think it's Caelan Doris, maybe?
I can't see. Oh no, it's not a red scrum out, it's a black scrum out. So yes, and he did take a huge clattering when he flew up for that ball and landed on his back.
He got in the air really well, almost Gaelic football style, hands over the head, and he turned in midair and came down quite hard. I'm not sure if that's when he injured himself or in the subsequent couple of rucks he was involved in. But when you go up hands overhead, you are very exposed.
And it looks like it's the way he's fallen. The physio team are looking at his hip, his lower back, so let's hope it's not too bad and he can continue, because he is some athlete, and that was a monumental effort to try and get that ball.
Absolutely crucial to our own success. More involvements, more rucks, more carries, more meters after contact than anybody else.
Well, really unfortunate to see Richie Gray go off the field. He'll be hugely frustrated, but his brother continues in that second row now alongside Scott Cummings. So Ireland ball inside of the Scottish half by 10 metres. Furlong managed to get his hands on that one. Of course, Tadhg Furlong, he's coming back from injury as well. His first appearance since December. He's had hamstring and calf problems as the ball is kicked down there by Ireland. Oh, that was a really quick mark that was called by Scotland in the end. It was right on the edge of the whitewash. And should they have let it roll over the line for the goal line dropout?
Sorry, but just alarm bells for Scotland. That's the third line out. 3 from 3 they've lost, and they're going to have to be tight in these areas, because every time you give the ball back to Ireland, we see time and time again the physicality, the ability to boss that gain line and squeeze Scotland furlong. 4 carries over the gain line every single time, so they need to wake up at line out.
Okay, so it's going to be an Irish line out, and this is the best real platform that Ireland have had so far in this fixture. It's between the 10 and the 22 inside of the Scotland half. This is where they really can construct something nice. If anyone is ever jealous of Irish attack, this is where you really want to be paying attention. They go right towards the guts. It's Henderson again that takes it into the middle of the line out. Van der Fleer with the distribution towards the middle of the park. Sexton with the long pass in the end to Ringrose. He's going to hat the ball on. Chasing it out there is Stuart Hogg and James Lowe. He's going to be bundled into touch, and this is such brilliant pressure from Ireland. Stuart Hogg had absolutely no choice there at all.
That's a really good play, and it's what Ireland do best. They get the ball into the midfield, they see what options are available. Scotland shutting the door. A beautiful Grover kick in that went end over end and made it very difficult for Hogg to deal with. He dealt with it very well, but the situation is now Ireland have made 40 metres and they can pressurise and under pressure Scotland line out. 9
minutes on the clock. Scotland 0, Ireland 0, but it's an Ireland line out 5 metres from the Scotland line. Their best opportunity. Sheehan gets the ball into Henderson. They're going to start rocking and rolling this maul. It's at the back at the moment. Luke Pearce is watching. It's crabbing, but it is slightly moving in the right direction. Conor Murray goes in. He thinks he might have to sneak this one out. There's a few players are now down on the floor. It's still in there at the moment, and it's moving. Just see Schumann in there, just slowing it down. Murray now has it. Aki arrived. Perhaps he just slightly went too early. He couldn't really get any momentum onto the ball. It's still going to be a green ball, though, with 5 metres to travel. An advantage to Ireland as well in their back pocket. Ireland are still on. Henderson arrives. Popped off ball to Sheehan. Sheehan, he's going to go straight into the post if he had kept going. And Ireland desperate to make the first score in this Six Nations clash. 4th round, they want the slam. This would be a good start on their journey to it. Popped off ball then to Ringrose, the 50 capper. Oh, could he have reached and touched down? Not to be, they want it quickly. Murray, he's got Furlong, he's been pushed back in the other direction. He decides to go for Doris. 3 players to stop Doris from Scotland. They've got numbers on that far side. They can't exploit it quick enough. Scotland need to turn around and look up, see what's there. Irish players taking the ball in what is feeling like desperate circumstances. We're only 10 minutes in. 10 minutes in and everyone wants this. Mac Hansen 1-on-1 with Van der Merwe. He spins the ball back in. It's taken in the end by Cummings. And they're going to come back for the penalty.
Finn Russell forced to come up offside on Bundee Aki and close down his space. Ireland there, a big opportunity goes a begging. Space was on out wide. Normally their identification of space and decision making so good, but they just missed this opportunity. Scotland get there and scramble defence.
And that's the way Scotland defend. They go where you're not going through it. Go wide if you can. If you're at the skill level to do that, then we give you a little bit of space. Hogg gets a little bit tight to that second last defender, and Ireland tried to exploit it. There was a proper, genuine one-on-one there. Ended up with Van der Merwe, and maybe Ireland should have done better.
Well, Ireland have decided to go for the sticks. And I have to say, that sounds like a very sensible decision. Do we not agree?
Just for us, so we can catch breath. It'd be quite nice. I appreciate it.
Well, sometimes in these situations, we do see international sides when they've built up such a head of steam down in the 22 that they think, nah, go for the line out. But there is something about pragmatism, particularly when it is this tense, that you've got to come away with something. And ultimately, that's where Ireland are most effective. They get in the 22, they get points, they get out again, and that's what they're doing. Johnny Sexton lines this one up then. It's pretty much bang in line with the left hand upright. Pretty straightforward bread and butter for the 37-year-old. 112th cap to date. Makes his run up. And there you go. Ireland are on the board in the 4th round of the Six Nations clash. It is Scotland 0, Ireland 3.
Penalty for Ireland, scored by...
There's a few bruises, a bunch of bruises coming down. There's a lot of physicality in this opening. A few salvos, guys carrying knocks. It feels attritional already.
Caelan Doris, again, you mentioned how critical he is to this side, limping really heavily. It looks like he's going to be replaced. It's Jack Conan coming onto the field already. Disappointing end for that man.
That's a huge loss for Ireland. He has been their talisman for the last about a year. He's, as I said earlier, he's a massive carrier, massive work rate, hit so many rucks.
Well, that's a huge loss then for Ireland as we see Caelan Doris limping off the field. We're going to be giving an update very shortly to our colleagues on BBC Radio 5 Live. If you hear a slight break in the commentary, as Scotland currently have the ball 10 metres inside of the Irish half. Down on the ground, it's Scotland 0, Ireland 3 here as Tuipulotu has the ball. And this is a first chance to see Scotland attacking quite a while at the right end of the field. It is Scotland 0, Ireland 3, 13 minutes on the clock. Ireland spent a long time attacking inside of that Scottish 22. A few opportunities that they could have gone over. In the end, it was a penalty they came away with, but worth mentioning that Caelan Doris is off for Ireland. Also for Scotland, Richie Gray has also had to go off. It's Scotland 0, Ireland 3. So it's still Scotland on the attack at the moment inside of the Irish half. Here we come from Dempsey, the Glasgow man, being given that opportunity in the 8 shirt. In the end, White decides to distribute the ball. They're still outside of the 22 at the moment, and they're going through the phases. They're approaching their 9th phase now, Scotland, in this attack. Taken forward on this occasion by Johnny Gray. He's pushed backward a couple of metres, some big dominant tackles going in by the Irish players. Here comes Russell. That's a really great one by the fly half. He's managed to make a good couple of metres and push them closer over the whitewash. Schoeman goes down onto the floor. The Edinburgh man, of course, scored against Ireland last year in this fixture, winning his 20th cap today. Big hits going in on Xander Fagerson. He's a big man. It takes a lot to bring him down. Russell pushes out towards Hogg. Hogg with the footwork. Another couple of metres made, and Scotland now inside of that 22 quite happily. About 10 metres left to travel. They're going to push that towards the other side of the field. Hugh Jones now on the ball. He's being tracked down, pushed out towards Staines. Staines still going. They're going to try and throw this ball around. It's a little bit like watching sevens sometimes, this from Scotland. No one wants to go into contact, and Ireland almost stepping off, waiting for the Scottish players to come to them. 16 phases. White looks up, pushed out ball towards the near side. Once again, here's Hogg, building up ahead of steam. A one-on-one almost there with Sexton. Has Hogg managed to keep his feet in? No. Touch judge on the near side that says that is in touch. Hogg was in contact, and that means it's going to be a line out to Ireland.
And this is the beauty of this fixture. Both sides with ball in hand, looking comfortable, attacking, playing to space. Finn Russell distributing beautifully. Ireland up to the task, defending well, scrambling. And Stuart Hogg goes over the whitewash and into touch.
Just attend to see some treatment, please.
And there's more treatment going on to more players out there at the moment. And I have to say, there's going to be some big discussions going on in the coaching box around how much you want to protect these players. Niggles is one thing, but this is a big year for rugby. Huge year, and you've really got to look after these players.
They will not be thinking about that right now.
I know, that's why the coaches are thinking about it, because they won't.
They will not. Coaches either. This is what it's all about right now, living in this moment. A huge game for both of these teams, and we can see that both sides have come bringing that physicality. They're going to leave it all out on the pitch. James Ryan, just in that tackle, pushing Hogg into touch, a perfect example of it.
And absolutely, this is it. Everything on the line. Nobody's thinking about a World Cup. Coaches, players, this is a chance for a triple crown or a Grand Slam. That's what's on the line, and it is massive.
And you can tell that's what the crowd are thinking as well. It was Sexton who received a bit of treatment as Conor Murray just falls over his own feet as he gathers the ball. Managed to hold on to it. Bit of support from the forwards, and off they go again. Scotland 0, Ireland 3, 15 minutes on the clock. Murray has to go in and dig that one out. This is really good game management from Ireland. They just want to take a little bit of the heat out of this game, and they do through a Murray box kick. It's going to come down towards this near side, and it's taken cleanly in the end by Van der Merwe. You don't want to let that man run. I think England can tell Ireland that for free. Comes away to Schoeman. You can hear the big noise that comes up every time he gets his hands on the ball. Russell with the pass. In the end, out wide to Van der Merwe. They're desperate to try and get that man moving the whole time. Look up once again. White tried to snipe, but again, a little bit of a trip. Could he have been through there with that snipe? Scotland 5 metres away from that Irish line, still going forward. 2 metres left to travel. They need more Scottish players to arrive to help. They're trying to decide if they go short or if they try and wing that one out. They've lost a couple of metres, and the green wall continues to hold. This time it's Fagerson. Round the corner they go again, penalty advantage, Ireland offside. White looks up, have they got numbers out there? They spin it out, it's going to be Hugh Jones! The first try of the match, and it's a Scottish try. The whole of Murrayfield is bouncing. This match has got a long way to go, but that was a well-worked Scotland try. It's Scotland 5, Ireland 3.
And it's that centre pin partnership again coming up trumps. The forwards doing the hard work, achieving gain line. Tuipulotu takes the ball to the gain line, Hugh Jones on his shoulder, and he crashes through the defensive line. Advantage Scotland, but what a start to this game, absolutely phenomenal.
And I think we can see Ireland are defending slightly differently, and that's because of the stress that Scotland are putting them under. They're lining it slightly wider, normally they're closer around the ruck, and Scotland are exploiting that slight width between the players.
And that's a poor read by Gary Ringrose as well. He's man on man, and he's overread that and left his man. Hugh Jones goes in unopposed, but exhausting. For Ireland, they've just gone through 20-25 phases defensively. They don't put the ball off the park, and they pay the price.
And you can see Ireland are stressed by the idea of Scotland going wide, because Scotland have that ability. That pass from Finn Russell so wide, and the problem is then when they come on that short line, it's very difficult to stop, and he gets off shoulders like Gary Ringrose gave.
Well, there you go. Finn Russell with the extras means it's Scotland 7, Ireland 3. We'll be updating 5 Live very shortly, but worth mentioning another change here for Ireland. Dan Sheehan is making his way off the field. Ronan Kelleher is going on. 2 big changes. I mean, Dan Sheehan, he is a hooker. I mean, there's such depth at the moment for Ireland when it comes to the hooking position, but Dan Sheehan is the one. We've just had a try here at Murrayfield. Scotland 7, Ireland 3. A really well-worked try by Scotland, who battered away on the Irish line. It was Hugh Jones in the end that went over. Eventually, it was the Irish defence that faltered, and it's Scotland who are ahead. Scotland 7, Ireland 3, 18 minutes played. So from the restart, it's a Scotland ball. They managed to hack that one down the field, gathered in that backfield in the end by Hugo Keenan. And these injuries to these Ireland players, they are stacking up. It's not just that the strength of the names that they're able to either call on the bench or going off the field. It's the fact they're having to use these subs so early in what is an incredibly physical fixture. Ball comes away to Porter. It's in the press this week about Andrew Porter, talking particularly how he really likes his heavy metal. Apparently, he listens to it as he goes to sleep. I'm not sure if that's true, but if he does, fair play. A bit of Metallica rather than a bit of lullaby. Everyone's different. Right then, Ireland on the ball. They're inside of the Scottish half, between the 10 and the 22, as it comes back towards the middle of the field. Popped off ball, looks slightly forward. Referee Luke Pearce of England is happy. Down on the ground, still Ireland. There's a bit of a contest going on there. Schoeman's looking up at the ref, unhappy. Play continues. Hansen, he's going to place it backwards. There an Irish player in the side there. Ben White is warned to get back round.
Set please.
Ireland are really having to fight for this ball at every breakdown at the moment. And you can see what Scotland are trying to do, because it's really frustrating Ireland, and it's working. They've got turnover ball. There's a real tight channel down this near side they're going to try and attack, and I'm going to tell you for free that Ireland will be annoyed. Really, really annoyed as they bundle Scotland into touch.
They will, just as they looked as if they were getting into their shape, just as they were looking as they were breaking down the Scottish 15. They turned that ball over at ruck time, which is you just can't do. There was plenty of numbers there, they just weren't working hard. It's something you don't normally see Ireland do, not committing a ruck time. They're normally particularly accurate at it.
Are normally bang on, but there, Scott Cummings standing up, targeting the ruck perfectly, huge counter ruck. And then Ireland compound their error. Instead of forming them all, the tackle's called, needs to release, they bundle them into touch, penalty against, and they lose 50 metres of territory.
And there's that tempo again. Hogg kicking the ball out really quickly, no time to waste, wanting to get the ball back in, wanting to get the ball wide.
Well, referee Luke Pearce just having his microphone changed. He's all okay. It's the Scottish line outside of the Irish 22. Was a little bit of treatment there to Ben White of Scotland. He's happy to carry on. Doesn't look like Ali Price is warming up at the moment. Scotland 7, Ireland 3 as they push towards the far side of the field. Huge tackle going in there, and Hogg, who eventually loses the ball forwards in contact. We haven't actually had a scrum so far. We've got 20 minutes in. We have not had a scrum.
It's a knock-on advantage, Ireland.
So Ireland's still playing at the moment. They're not interested in one of them, as Jack Conan continues to drive forwards, and they are going to come back. We do get to see the scrum.
Advantage to the knock-on. Easy. Thank you.
And there'll be a chance to see the forwards in action. Having not seen a scrum basically means No one's made a mistake really yet.
And everyone's happy not to watch them, aren't they? We'd have to talk
You were
about
in
them.
there.
We're enjoying it.
Well, look, we've got there a much better defensive read by Ireland, coming up and shutting down the space. Stuart Hogg a 2-on-1 on the open side, a great defensive read.
But they are getting the ball wide very easily, aren't they? There's no pressure from Ireland, and maybe you can put pressure on because they are standing a little bit wider. But it's the width of pass by all those Scottish backs. They feel very comfortable, almost like sevens players. 15, 20 metre passes aren't an issue.
Okay, so why don't you like watching scrums anymore, Johnny Beattie? That's
I don't
more
have a clue
interesting.
what's happening in there. I'm not going to
come
lie.
on.
I was at the end of them. Just as close as Shane was, let's be honest. But look, crucially...
Did you not push a little bit? Just a bit?
I
Direct
did.
it?
I feigned trying and pushing. I did my best. But
You
look,
were just waiting for that ball to come
You
through.
made a good career out of it. Well done.
thank you. But look, 22 minutes in, Ireland typically, I think they score 60% of their tries in the first 20 minutes. So big statistic push for Scotland and a free kick from that scrum.
Huge moment taken quickly by Ben White as well. Was that the right decision? Have they caught Ireland napping? Tuipulotu into contact outside of the Irish 22. Picked up ball, round the corner it goes, keeping it tight in the forwards. Oh, big hit that was right into the chops there. It was Furlong who came in. Don't think they're going to look at that one. Pop back again now to Van der Merwe. He runs it back, and he is so hard to tackle. What a runner he is with ball in hand. The Scottish wing, as it just goes loose out the hands. Peter O'Mahony is chasing that ball down. It's going to be hacked on in the end. Here we go. Chase ball, run back by Scotland. They're inside of the 22. Ringrose lands on top of the Scottish player. It's been placed backwards. It's still just in the ruck. Whoever's boot that is from Scotland has just saved their bacon to create that ruck. Well done, that man. But they're back inside of that 22. And Ben White is going to have to clear this one as far as he physically can, because I tell you what, there's a few players out there who would like to breathe. Will Hugo Keenan let them? He's got the same ball. He's going to come back. And there is some tired men out there.
Ian Henderson looks to have taken a knock to the wrist. He's not great. Conor Murray's taken his time to get up. They are running on empty here already after 25 minutes.
But look, this is what happens when you play against the team and you try and defend through multi-phase against the side that plays the ball to space and width constantly. It is absolutely exhausting. So yes, the physical fatigue that we're seeing on the Irish players, the stress they're going through, but the collisions as well are absolutely enormous.
I think Ireland have to do something about the speed of the ruck speed of this Scottish ball. It is lightning fast, and that means when they're moving it wide, they can do it more comfortably with less pressure, and it's faster after ruck, and it gradually grinds down, and we're just seeing the original try. That's because of the speed of that ruck ball. So Ireland either have to commit more, and they're not generally doing that, or that second tackler in has to do more to slow the ball up. It can't continue to give Scotland this kind of rapid ruck ball.
But it's that cycle though. If you do get quick ball against you, you're on the back foot, it's impossible to bounce, be that jackler, get back up and contest. That is the challenge for Ireland. Can you slow the ball down, make it difficult for Scotland? Because at the minute they look very fluid with ball in hand.
Well, we're back underway. Ireland win their own line-out. They've made a change as well. Going off the field was Ian Henderson as he was carrying what looked like a wrist injury. Ryan Baird is on, and that's 3 off the bench Ireland have now had to use as they hack through. They haven't got the touch. It's still inside the try area. Somebody needs to touch that down. It is in the end by Van der Merwe, because James Lowe was certainly there. It's taken over the line though by Ireland, so we get a dropout. Now, using 3 from the bench with only 24 minutes on the clock, you guys tell me, how much do you need a bench in international rugby when it comes to how tired you get?
Well, consistently Ireland have been using it throughout the second half. So, especially second row, back row, you want someone to give some impotence. And also, you don't really want to be using your hooker this early in the game either. It's a real thing for Ireland. They bring him on after 50, 60 minutes and has an impact. Less so now.
Well, Ireland, they're currently running back the ball. They're just over the halfway line into the Scottish half. Furlong there. Nice idea as the forwards are working together through the guts of the field. Really nice interlinking. Remember, Ireland, they're down at the moment by 4 points. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 3, 25 minutes on the clock. They use their short game just to work to the left-hand side of the field. There's a real contest going on the floor. Both men have their hands on it. It was the Scotland captain there, Jamie Ritchie, who was getting involved. No penalty. And I tell you what, the whole of Murrayfield thinks that should have been a Scotland ball, but I think the referee's got that spot on. It's going to be an Irish scrum.
I thought he was in possession. Come on, let's go.
And interesting as well, as we've just mentioned, Scotland ball in hand, fizzing the ball to space. Ireland On the other hand, Johnny Sexton kicking the ball in behind, opting to squeeze, go for territory and play the game in the right area. But I think for a pack, again, if I was playing in that Irish pack, I would want to be holding on to the ball. How can I pressurise this Irish forward pack, make them work through multi-phase defensively and tire them out, get my carries, dominate physically? Interesting choice, strategy from Ireland.
Yeah, and it's definitely part of the strategy. I think they're looking to break Scotland down off that first phase, or a power play, which is, you know, everybody knows what they're doing for maybe 2 or 3 phases, but they're retaining that option to kick in behind. Either keep the ball in or make sure Scotland have to carry it out. Whether they continue with that or not, or they go for that multi-phase attack, you know, over the later parts of the game, is we'll see it unfold.
The voices you can hear on 5 Sports Extra: former Ireland international Shane Horgan, also former Scotland international Johnny Beattie, as it's an Irish scrum on the far side of the field as they're trying to find their way, see if they can navigate into that Scottish 22. It's O'Mahony now, he's over that whitewash. A little way left to travel. It's Scotland who've got the try on the board through Hugh Jones. Ireland, they were down here early on in the match in that opening 10 minutes. They came away with a penalty. Should it have been more? The rest of the match will answer that question. Back now to Murray, to the new man on the pitch, Baird. He uses the hands, they're pushing out towards the near side. Mack Hansen is there waiting, can he get in? Oh, it's going to be a close call. Mack Hansen thinks he might have got that. He flew through the air. Is that Ireland's first try of the fixture? And I have to say, there's an injury in the process of Duhan van der Merwe. They're trying to stop him.
And Matt Fagerson underneath his own post as well. Again, the physicality, Duhan van der Merwe coming across and giving it absolutely everything.
No on-field decision.
In the middle of that, there was an absolutely beautiful pass. Must have been 15, 20 metres.
Okay, here we go. So you've got the television match official now speaking. Now his feet are...
He's got that. Ireland have had a few chances, maybe not always... not always getting the rub of the green, or have got the rub of the green. I think that's going to be a try.
Well, you've got to look at both angles for it to see actually when the ball is touched down.
There, Luke, as the ball is grounded.
You just listen. The television match official you can hear is Stuart Tahigi of England, and Duhan van der Merwe is still down. He's just getting back to his feet.
His arm is there, mate.
They're also looking at van der Merwe's tackle in this as well.
It's a clear shoulder charge, and it looks to me like the grounding's pretty alright, so we'll let Stu do his work and then...
So the try is going to be good. It's whether Duhan van der Merwe's going to get a card in this.
Luke?
Yes, go ahead, Stu.
That ball is grounded.
Fine, so I may award the try.
You may award the try.
Thank you.
Okay, the try has been given. I don't know if they're going to look at that tackle anymore. So it is now Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Conversion for Johnny Sexton to come.
I don't think it was a great tackle, so I'm not sure if he's going to get yellow. He didn't get his arms around, but I don't think it was a shoulder barge.
It's the quality of the final pass. We've seen it again. It's off his left. It's 15-20 metres, as you mentioned. That is the critical pass. 3-on-2. Slides it across the last defender. Mack Hansen does the rest. That's a tremendous finish.
He does really well. Yes, it was a one-on-one. It was a beautiful pass by Hugo Keenan. He comes from that sevens background, so they're very comfortable with those long passes. And we pointed out earlier on in the game, Ireland know there's a little bit of space out there, so if you get it over fast enough, you do have a chance of a one-on-one, but that doesn't always mean you score the try. Mack Hansen did very well to get into the corner under big pressure.
Ireland are back on top then at Murrayfield with 28 minutes on the clock. Johnny Sexton with the conversion from this near side touch. We'll be updating 5 Live very shortly here on Sports Extra as we wait for Sexton to take this conversion. Sexton with the run up for the conversion, high into the sky. That one looks like it's gone to the right hand side of the upright, so it's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. 28 minutes on the clock here. The try scored by Mack Hansen for Ireland down in the corner, and someone's going to have to put that corner flag back up because it is still lying there after it was clattered into. So we're about to get back underway. Scotland with the restart at the score at Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Stuart Hogg puts it into the sky. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Ireland back on top at Murrayfield. The try came from Mack Hansen, who was hanging out wide. He got a huge clattering in the end by Scotland's Duhan van der Merwe. He was actually van der Merwe who came out of it the worst of the two, but Hansen gets his try, a brilliant finish, and it's Scotland 7, Ireland 8, 29 minutes played. Just giving the update there to 5 Live. You've probably guessed that already, though. You're getting the rhythm of how today is going to work, as we now have Scotland with the ball back down inside of the Irish half. It's over the head at the moment of George Turner. Manages to find his man in the middle of the line out, and Turner goes round to gather the ball. It goes to White. Head down there of Hugh Jones, happy to take in a bit of contact. There is Jones, going to give a little bit of support. Cummings flies over the top, come back towards Tuipulotu in the middle of the field. Russell, really nicely worked there by Scotland. Where's the ball going to go? Is it going to go? Yes, out of play, just on the right-hand side of the flag. They forced Ireland into a line out 5 metres from their own line. That was really well worked by Scotland.
Really well worked, and it looks like Johnny Sexton picked up a knock as well to the cheekbone that he had injured just a couple of months ago.
And they've gone quickly. It's gone long over the top. Big pressure on here for Ireland to try and get this one away. Conor Murray has the ball. He's going to have to box kick this one, or is he going to give it back? Yes, he does go for it. It looks like Sexton was waiting. Hasn't given Ireland a huge amount of space. It's given Scotland a line out inside of the Irish 22.
Well, you wouldn't be sure of that decision, going for a quick line out over the top. Conan was under massive pressure. He did well, he dealt with it, but it was a difficult place. It's like a metre out from the Ireland goal line. So even with the best kick in the world, you're not going to be in a great position when the ball goes out next.
And that's it, an exit strategy for Ireland. They've had 3 kicks now. They've barely made it past their 22. So big territory again for Scotland, and another opportunity to burst onto the ball and generate something positive.
Taken in the air by the captain, Ritchie, for Scotland. And the whole of Murrayfield is currently pushing that pack forward as they're mauling their way towards the Irish line. Now that's gone down. Referee's not put his arm out in either direction. He's happy that that went down legally. Tuipulotu, oh, it's really nice to Russell. He's got space. He's got Duran van der Merwe alongside him, who's still going. There was more Scottish players outside. They couldn't get the ball away. It's a penalty to Ireland. One of the best worked little bits of attack we've seen from Scotland, and it's chat back as well. So Scotland get pushed back even further, and it's a penalty for Ireland to clear.
A huge moment. It looked like Van der Fleer was over the ball there. He's done it so often for Ireland. It was really, really needed. But Scotland are cutting Ireland open with that loop play in midfield, giving a lot of space, getting the second touch for Finn Russell, and then he's picking his passes almost at ease.
It's so hard to defend against, and again, the havoc is created. They burst the line, they break tackles. It's Duran van der Merwe, and if they can just free his hands. There's 3 men outside, but the contest by Lowe and Van der Fleer, absolutely superb.
But the tackle by Hugo Keenan there, he was the last man of defence. It was coming on his inside shoulder. Very difficult to put down a man like Van der Merwe, and we've seen what he's done in this tournament already. Last line of defence is exactly what you want. Critical moment there for Ireland.
32 minutes played. Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Irish line out on the halfway line. It goes well. They work down the line. That's a really nice there. It's James Lowe who's on it now. He took the play in the end from Conan, pushed out towards Ringrose. He's well tracked back by Scottish players. This is end-to-end stuff. If you want your rugby, if you love running rugby, you should be listening to this. It's fantastic. Still going through there through Irish hands. The Scottish line holds for now, but there's still 10 metres to travel for Ireland to try and find their second try of this fixture. Wonderful run there by the forwards, who are still crashing through. Scotland are struggling. It's a loose ball, but surely a penalty. Knocked on by Scotland, and that's what we call the red zone. They'll probably get away with that one, but any other time that could have been a card.
That could be yellow, and maybe should be yellow, Johnny.
I've got a couple of issues here. Number 15 can play the arm, but he must start on side and not be lent over the ruck. That is off feet. That's your one. Just be careful, Johnny. If this player asks for a yellow card, then he might go as well. Okay?
For now, you know what?
Oh, Luke Pearce just gave the death stare to Johnny Sexton. That was brilliant.
Don't we all dream of giving the death stare to Johnny Sexton? But look, in terms of a spectacle, end to end in 15 seconds, this is absolutely exceptional. 2 teams organised, playing with speed and a verve. What a game.
This is rock and roll rugby, and it's all attacking. It's not bad defending, it's brilliant attack. Ireland doing what Ireland are best at, sort of more intricate plays, making big yardage.
5 metre line out for Ireland outside of the Scottish try line. 33 minutes on the clock. They lead by 1. Can they get another try here? They're pushing towards that line. It's still moving. That has gone down. Referee's happy that it's gone down legally. Comes back again. Conan pushes forward. He has got absolutely thumped for his money, taking that one into contact. Has it got turnover ball written on this? Which way is it going to get coughed out? It is still a green ball. They're being pushed backwards though. It's penalty advantage now to Ireland. This could be a card. What was it? Luke Pearce is looking. It looks like he's not going to make a decision on this occasion, but Scotland are going to have to be so
Number
careful
3
now.
had 2 goes, first off feet, then again off feet.
Surely if there's another one here, someone has to go to the bin.
He hasn't given a final warning, though. I think that was normally the time when you do. He's chosen not to do it, so it would indicate maybe they've got one more penalty in them.
You'll be happy about that, won't you, Johnny?
Oh, look, I'm just watching another Irish injury. It's Ronan Kelleher. I mean, looking at the replay on the big screen, that looked like a decent first contest by Schumann. The second contest, not great, though, clearly off his feet. But for Ireland, we've mentioned injuries. Kelleher now holding his arm, limping to the touchline. How's he going to be with this throw? But a big decision for Ireland, not going for the poles and 3 points, choosing to go for the line out again, attacking this game.
Schumann very unlucky there.
Ball comes in. Oh, they've marked it up. It comes away through George Turner. They couldn't get it into the hands. How much have they been impacted? It comes into the feet then of Hugh Jones. He's going to send it down the field, and all that pressure from Ireland comes to nothing. Hugo Keenan fondles the ball. It was all backwards though, although the whole of Murrayfield was very excited about it. And it's going to be Finn Russell who gathers back it pretty much on his own 22-metre line. Stuart Hogg is told to get involved. It's Duhan van der Merwe who's on the ball. Van der Merwe down on the ground. Push back from White. White finds Russell. Russell towards the far side. As much as this is very exciting, we're on the halfway line. We need to breathe at times. It is Scottish ball. They're playing out of their own half at the moment. Russell gets absolutely munched in the middle of the field. It's Russell who's having to track back. Conor Murray is there. There's a massive pile of bodies on the floor. How Scotland have held on to that ball with the pressure pounding down on them, no one will know. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. 35 minutes on the clock. Half time, who's going to be in the lead? Because Scotland, again, they are in there at the moment, and they are thinking about how they're going to get out of their own half. It's going to be a box kick in the end that comes in from the London Irish player Ben White. He sends it to James Lowe, who's in exactly the right position as you'd expect him to be, and he's got support out on that wing. In the end, it's Sheehan who gets clattered down to the floor, and Murray goes to regather. He manages to find Conan, man, of course, who starred in 3 tests on that British and Irish Lions tour in 2021. Perhaps hasn't been in quite that stellar form from recent performances, but none too shabby replacement after Caelan Doris went off earlier on in this fixture. And I'm surprised there wasn't a penalty at that last ruck. Luke Pearce happy to let this play on as Matt Hansen gathers the ball, pushes out to Sheehan. That was forward to Lowe in the end. And I think, even though we played 36 minutes, this lot are tired.
Yeah. There's fatigue errors coming in. Johnny Sexton not in position early enough, walking, not in that the 10 area where he should have been, not directing channels and not directing them the attack as we would normally see him do, and that's purely down to fatigue, Johnny.
And very unlike him. I mean, I know 37 years of age, but to not be in position, to not be bossing it, maybe that tells us a little bit about the state of this first half. The tempo, the ball and playtime, and the intensity we've seen in this first half, out of this world. And some of the players out on their feet.
And we're looking at the speed of the rooks there. 62 of Ireland's and 67% of Scotland's rooks have been between 1 and 3 seconds. That's borderline ridiculous.
I'll tell you what's also ridiculous is when it comes to metres made. Conan has made 63 metres, but the only player who's beaten that in the forward so far is Caelan Doris, who's off the field. Oh no, James Ryan has. That's all right then. I was about to say, that's impressive. That was a good 10 minutes for Caelan Doris before he actually went off. Right then, we're going to have a scrum on the far side of the field. Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Worth mentioning is that all the players just packed down, but of course next week we will be bringing you coverage of the Cheltenham Festival on 5 Sports Extra from Tuesday to Friday. You've got every race coming to you live then on Friday, Gold Cup Day. It will be on 5 Live, of course, with John Hunt and Gina Bryce. And don't forget, next weekend we're bringing you a little bit of Six Nations action. Just that final Saturday to contend with, and this match will determine just how exciting every single game is going to be. And there we go. It's a free kick, and it's to do with the break foot, as I look round and know that Johnny wasn't that keen on scrums throughout his whole international career. And Shane, were you ever in one by accident on a flank or something?
Hanging onto the side 1 or 2 times, but I couldn't say that I'm an expert as a result.
Were you or were you not better than Johnny May? That's all I want to know.
I'm not sure breakfoot was even a thing when you guys were playing. Even you, Johnny. Yeah, no, you're shaking your head. Breakfoot was not a thing. So if you do want to know what a breakfoot is, it's when the hooker should have one foot in front of the other to actually stabilise the scrum. So there's a little bit of ballast ultimately there. And if it's not there, it unbalances the scrum. And there's now a close-up on all the TV screens about break feet. So that is what everyone is speaking about right now. So we can just see the foot-in of George Turner and Ronan Kelleher, who've got, one's got white and yellow boots and the other one's got orange and blue. And it goes in. Was the break foot there long enough? Who knows? As the ball comes away for Scotland eventually, far side of the field as they approach the halfway line. Tuipulotu, huge clatter into Johnny Sexton as the ball is spun out. There's not many Scotland players on this near side. There's a lot of green shirts though, and Stuart Hogg has done really well to try and hold on to that ball. He eventually clatters down to the earth. He was lucky he wasn't held up there. We don't see so much anymore of that choke tackle technique as the ball comes away now through the hands. It's Gray who's on the ball over the halfway line. Big thump on him as well. Schoeman goes in to try and tidy things. The contest at the ruck is incredible. And it's offside from Ireland. Scotland think about going quickly, but finally a bit of composure. With a minute left to play, they can set something up.
Okay.
The clock has gone red here, so penalty for offside. The choice will be get in at half-time in the lead. An option for 3 points.
Call, please.
Can they kick it is what they're trying to decide, and it's
Jamie,
a decision. Ultimately, they are going to go for goal. Are they? No, they're not. They're going for the corner. I can tell you, Russell was throwing grass in the air. Hogg was throwing glass in the air. They both thought, nah, let's let the forwards deal with this.
No, I don't think he fancied it for distance, but I tell you, he's put some distance on that kick.
Now 10 metres from the Irish line, a real chance to finish with a flourish, get into the tunnel in the changing rooms at half-time. The big momentum swing.
Well, what have Scotland got then? 10 metres out from the Irish line. Is this all going to be about the forwards? Will they deploy the backs? Murrayfield, they know what they want to see, and I can tell you that side of Murrayfield is currently bathed in sunshine as the ball goes in. It is held by Scotland. It's going to come round the corner. It's Tuipulotu who crashes through. He's 3 metres short of the line, gathered by Ben White. Ball comes back up again. George Turner. Stuart Hogg gathers the ball. He has to hold on to it. They're still running round the corner. Have they got numbers on the near side? They tried to throw it back in. Turner is bundled into touch. Was there any penalties in any of that? No, that is it. It is half-time. What a half of rugby. That was brilliant. We will go through it very shortly. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Very briefly, gents, what's going to happen in the second half, Shane Horgan?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to see is more tries. That's for certain. This is not the end of the scoring of this game. Everybody looks as if there's opportunities out there. They're throwing the ball wide. There is going to be more tries.
Hopefully more of the same. I mean, that was exceptional. What a half of rugby. Ireland letting a line out go on the 5 metre line, overthrow at the other end. 2 minutes later, Scotland, another opportunity goes begging on the try line, but look, who will convert their opportunities in this game will win. We've seen over the weekend, chances gone, lost games, but more of the same, please, in the second half, because that was phenomenal.
Thanks so much, gents. We will be back very shortly here on Extra. The half-time score then was Scotland 7, Ireland 8, but it is worth us turning our attention to, of course, what happened at Twickenham yesterday, where England lost 53-10 to France. Here's our correspondent Chris Jones with World Cup winners Matt Dawson and first Paul Grayson.
It is an absolute privilege to get to do what we do, to come to Twickenham and co-commentate and, you know, sit in the seats that we sit in and still have access to the international team and to get around the stadium. It is an absolute privilege, and it's not one that's lost on me or Matt. But can I go home now, please?
You're off skiing, aren't you? Well, you've got a cab taking you to Heathrow, get you on the slopes.
Dude, honestly, it's just one of those ones where it's like, I'd like to pass this sideways to someone else, please, because I am flabbergasted.
At times during commentary, you two were looking kind of into space, and I could just see your head, your brain, Matt Dawson, just trying to compute what was going on. A mixture of just, you know, enthralled by what France were doing, because they, just to repeat, they were brilliant, but to see England lose by their record ever defeat at home.
Yeah, it's difficult to differentiate. Sometimes it's difficult to differentiate between a side that are rampant and are playing superb rugby when they're up against another big nation. You know, if you sort of role reverse that Ireland-France game where You know, Ireland were absolutely brilliant and France weren't quite on song, but had moments of brilliant. This was a total demolition in every facet, and England may have had 5 minutes of the game, a push, 4 minutes, 5 minutes of the game where, you know, England fans could get excited. It was it lacked intensity from the off from England. It lacked accuracy. It lacked tactical nous, execution, commitment. It lacked everything that we as former rugby players who have played in these types of games would have thought is a total given when you play in France. Regardless of home or away, you've got to have that if you want to compete. And it was nowhere.
And if you flip that round, every adjective that you used then, France had it. All of it. And it took a couple of minutes. Where were we when we came from the end of the football commentary, and it's like you were just sitting there going, well, first thing I'm going to tell you is they've scored.
Yeah, Ramos, and that was a great try, wasn't it?
But
Olivon, Flamand, Demortier, Ramos, beautiful.
And it was in that moment where you think England are going to come out the blocks and absolutely clean some people up. And, you know, if it had been an error of, one of the players got carried away, come bolting out of the line to absolutely cream someone. But it wasn't. It was a succession of passive tackles. They moved the ball nicely, got an offload away. Flamand's a good player. He's a good footballer. Demortier and then Ramos cantered in at the corner, and then they came back up and they kicked a penalty. And you're like, oh, okay. Start again. We've got that little bit wrong. Here comes the fire. Nah.
Yeah.
It was as if there was, you know, this enormous sort of character or cartoon character of an England rugby player at home, your own territory, winning through games, not bully mentality, but we're ready. And this character has taken a massive swing at a Frenchman, and you could probably liken it like a diminutive Dupont. And Dupont's ducked, turned around, run 100 legs, pulled his trousers down and whipped his shirt over his head. And he was like, what's just happened there? You know, and that was it. End of. Thank you.
Yeah.
Gone.
And so quick and good and relentless. And as much as we were looking for England to find a way into the game, you know, the quality of France's work in defence and in the breakdown, it was a schooling right across the field. And they have got world-class players right through their team, but they're performing at a world-class level, and England were just nowhere near it. And it's painful. It's so, you know, painful for those players and the staff. Everyone's, you know, human beings. It must feel awful to have. Nobody wants to be in the worst ever home defeat. That's not, you know, that's not one of the things that you put in your trophy cabinet. Oh, by the way, this is my shirt from when we got absolutely rinsed by France at home. It's a horrible experience, I would imagine, for them right now. And they've still got, you know, imagine going to do your corporate responsibilities after the game to sponsors and everything else. It's a tortuous part of playing in a team that's losing.
Hold on a minute, you say that, Grace. It was for you and I. It was torturous. If you lost at home, never mind the 43 points. If you lost at home by 15, 20 points, if it ever happened, I mean, you couldn't speak. You go into the dressing room and you're embarrassed. You're for yourself, for your family. I'm watching England do a lap of honour. I'm watching England walk around the field, clapping to the crowd, getting their families to come onto the pitch and run around with them. And I'm deliberately watching the players, and there's smiles, and I can't get my head around that, Chris. I'm 50 years old and I'm proud of that. I'm an old goat. But I cannot get my head around winning a scrum and you're 20 points down and everyone going, yes! Winning a turnover under the pitch and you're 30 points down. Yes! What? What are you talking about?
So did today with that in mind, because the narrative that, you know, we've all been guilty of peddling was, you know, things reached a bit of a head in the South Africa game. Eddie Jones moved on. Steve Borthwick was going to strip it back and he was going to build week on week and week. And there was building from Scotland to Italy, building from Italy to Wales. And we thought, okay, they'll be building from Italy to France. And it's come completely crashing down with the most almighty reality check. Does this point to something fundamentally, intrinsically wrong in this England team? Whether it's culturally, environmentally, or is it just a case of a team 3 years in the making, taking apart a team that are at rock bottom, and England, both tactically and personnel-wise, are miles off?
I don't see a huge difference from this team to Eddie Jones's team. I really don't. And there have been games, the games that they've won, we've seen a bit more structure from England that you think, okay, there's a pattern that they like to get into. But we still are talking about individual errors or individual tactics that you think, it's just not going to work. Look at what Ireland are doing. Look at what France are doing. As much as all the players are, probably listen to this or get quotes from this and think, oh, these, Dawson and Grayson are going on about. Just look at it. Look at the top teams at the moment, and they don't play like England. France and Ireland are playing a completely different. No, I don't even want to say style of play.
Mindset's
absolutely got something to do with it.
Because there were a few times, Grace, when, and look, England are going to play a territory game. You'd have thought that's the Steve Borthwick's model at Leicester. Then Marcus Smith comes in, so we were sort of thinking, how will they tactically change? But a few times in that first half, and it's hard to pick at, say, that the attitude of the halfbacks. Of course it is when you're losing all your collisions, they're getting absolutely done at the breakdown. Like, done. I thought France's breakdown influence was waning, not a bit of it. But France scored 53 points in these conditions. And there were times when the ball went loose, a bit like Scotland did against Wales. I remember noticing it in Murrayfield. And the team comes alive on turnover ball. England aren't there at all, are they? They don't have that kind of switch flick where they just go and play. They are trying to play within a structure, but they also can't beat teams like France playing too structured a game. So it feels like they're in a bit of a tactical conundrum here, regardless of talking about personnel.
Yeah, you're right. And we sort of touched on it in commentary, that having the bird's eye view and watching the two teams and seeing the space available when France are in possession or they get a turnover, you think, ooh, there's some space over there. And I would say today, 9 times out of 10, they made the decision that's obvious from off the easy one to make off the pitch. We always say, it's easy for them, but you can see all the space. Well, they're doing that at ground level. 23 players thinking the same thing. The ball's turned over. It's like, ooh, we know we'll go left here. There's some space. Bang, 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 off they go. The Dupont 50-22. It was just a beautiful setup, because it was like, oh, by the way, everybody thinks that we're going to kick it this way, but we've just created our space.
It's also
down
heads
the
up,
left-hand
isn't
side.
it? It's all heads up.
But it's playing all the right notes in the right order, and they are a high functioning team. They are magnificent. Whereas England, it was like, oh, there's a bit of space on here. Stop. We're pointing. We're having a box kick. Okay, let's have a box kick then. Oh, that's taking a bit too long, and it's not a very good kick, and we haven't won the ball in the air. So you've slowed the game down. You've taken away your possible bit of advantage. You've never explored it even as an avenue to transfer some pressure, and then you executed it badly, and now you're giving the ball back, and you've made no yards. And that's the difference. England were, first 20 minutes, Marcus Smith was never on the ball because he was constantly just pointing at people to get set up for a box kick.
Well, there you go. That was the voice there you heard at the end of Paul Grayson, Matt Dawson, and our correspondent Chris Jones, who were reflecting on everything that happened at Twickenham yesterday. As I turn around to look at a Scotsman and an Irishman, and I say, Twickenham yesterday, how smiley are you both?
Well, look, I'm a French passport holder, so I'm not half and half. I'm absolutely over the moon. Disappointed for England, though. That is the most lost I've ever seen them play as a side together. That's not what we want for the tournament. That's not what we want for English rugby. But as now a half Frenchman, delighted for my mates playing in that squad, for Greg Aldrit, the players that played against the top 14, firing on the biggest of stages, winning there for the first time since 2005, 2007.
Yeah,
exceptional.
Scarcely believable, though, to get pumped by 50 at home. You don't expect that from England. We haven't seen it. We've literally never seen it before. And you can't say that you saw it coming. Listen, there's issues in the England camp. Yes, France haven't been firing in this tournament in the way we saw them last year up to this point, but they went on fire yesterday. But as much as France were good, England were bad. Big concerns there.
And I don't expect both of you to have the answers to solve all the problems in English rugby, but
if I did, I wouldn't be telling you.
Exactly. But just out of curiosity, a lot of people always talk all the time about the Premiership and what a brilliant league it is and how it's the envy of other sides. Is it of a good enough quality? Is there enough depth there? Or is that where a lot of the problems lie?
I think what we're seeing is a level of player. I'm not saying we're seeing a lot of players at a certain level, but there's not a huge amount of players in the Premiership. You go, oh listen, we'll pull him out and get him into the England squad, and it'll make a big difference to what England were doing. They're probably, more or less, one or two aside, are dealing with their best players. So one, you have to get more out of your players and get more exceptional players overall.
I also don't think that other countries look at the Premiership with this huge envy that comes out of English rugby. I don't think that's true. I don't think that Leinster would look at the Premiership and think we can't survive there, or teams in the top 14, or Super Rugby teams. It's an exceptional competition, and those individual clubs within their structures play very well, but for whatever reason, the national side coming together now, they are not organised, they are not structured, and even though there is talent, it is not pulling together and performing at the highest level.
And maybe that's the problem. There's a bit of an echo chamber in Premiership rugby. Everybody's patting themselves on the back. And listen, some of the rugby is great, some of the spectacle is great, but we're also seeing there's maybe a dearth of super elite talent.
Can I just say, you two are really excited at the moment because we're talking about England not doing very well, but also because I know you've both finished a whole bag of sweeties at half-time. I can feel the sugar.
It's a sugar high.
It's coming, and I'm glad I've distracted you both because we're about to have another 40 minutes where ultimately one team's going to win, one's going to lose. I think a draw's pretty unlikely the way this is going.
By the way, how has there only been 2 tries in this game so far? It feels like it's a 25-24 game or something like that. There's been there's so much running rugby. That loop play that both teams are doing in midfield, it just means that there's so much space out wide. There's a lot of missed tackles for Ireland, annoyingly more than there should be. Scotland have been breaking the line too easy, and if they continue to do that, we're going to see a lot of tries in the second half.
Well, for my money, both sides have left two tries at least out there, and missed opportunities, not quite converting. And if we see the same type of rugby in the engagement that gets finished off, we could see 3, 4, 5 tries for each side in the second half when that fatigue kicks in and there's more space on the field. So hopefully more of the same, an exceptional second half coming up.
Well, Scotland back out onto the field. Ireland already there at the moment. So as we go into this second half, we will be joining 5 Live for quite a long period of time as it just gets underway. But everything will remain here on Extra at the same time. So don't worry, you don't need to change the dial. If you want to stick with the rugby, this is the place to stay. So second half about to get underway. As Stuart Hogg comes out, he's kicking the ball, he's doing all the tricks, and he's getting ready for this Scotland team to kick off this second half. Now, I don't know if Johnny Beattie and Shane Horgan actually noticed, but all of the Scotland coaching staff walk behind us as they walk back to their little cubicle a little bit further along the gantry here at Murrayfield. No smiles, very steely faced.
That's not their style.
Yeah.
And they'll just want more of the same. Again, they'll understand the fine margins that this game is going to come down to. They'll understand they're in the game, they've performed in the first half, they're still a point down, but they're against the number 1 team in the world and they're competing. They'll be happy at half-time. They'll ask their players for more, to dig deep, to double up those physical efforts and to keep challenging this Irish team, keep moving them around the field. And we've seen them bend, we've seen them break, 18 missed tackles. They'll ask their players for more of the same.
Right, let's do this all over again. 40 minutes. It's Scotland against Ireland in the Six Nations. Round 4, Scotland 7, Ireland 8. Lest you not forget, Ireland going for the slam, Scotland going for their first Triple Crown in 33 years, and obviously the chance also to stay involved in this championship contest. You can hear our voice there, Luke Pearce from the restart, just giving the right act there to Scotland, making very clear the laws, and it's going to be Johnny Sexton with a penalty just outside of the Irish 22 to kick it to the far side of the field and set up an Irish line-out. No changes to either side, I should say, as they came out of the tunnel, other than the changes that had already been there. So Dan Sheehan, Ian Henderson and Caelan Doris had gone off. In their place, Ronan Kelleher, Ryan Baird and Jack Conan. Also for Scotland, there was a change as Richie Gray came off and Scott Cummings came on. Ireland line-out, far side of the field. And interestingly, we've got Josh van der Fleer throwing in the ball. Now, is this because they've practiced this, or is this because there is a problem with Ronan Kelleher's shoulder? We shall have to see. Waiting for the ball to come in. We're going to join 5 Live very shortly. We will hopefully get a warning that they are about to come to us as Matt Hansen has the ball just over the halfway line. Gathered then by Doris. Sorry, not Doris on the field. Get the right scrum cap in. It's in the hands there of Ryan Baird as it comes back to van der Fleer. keep a close eye on what's happening in the hooker situation here for Ireland. Ball on the floor, Ireland between the 10 and the 22. Comes back in the end to Sexton. Pushes forward with the ball. And he's approaching that 22, but it's taken in by Ireland. It's not coming out. We'll restart then with a Scotland scrum. Hugely frustrating there for Ireland.
Yeah, Sexton trying to go through a hole that just didn't exist. Scotland holding him up. Big power defending. Exactly what you would have wanted from Scotland.
I'm still trying to get my head around that Irish line-out. In that Kelleher's on the field, but Josh van der Flier has thrown that ball in to the front of the line-out to Peter O'Mahony, but not something pre-scripted. That must be an injury to his shoulder.
I think it has to be an injury. He might have trouble going, over his head. Because it's not a one-off play and will be confirmed by the next line out.
But the repercussions now, and he's packed down, he's in the front, he's in the front row, so he's going to scrummage, he's going to be active, but it's obviously something above his head. But the repercussions and the knock-on for Ireland's launch and their line out, Scotland now, if they see that, they'll kick every ball out.
They certainly will, and those will be the messages that will be coming off the bench as well onto the field. Line out, please. We're about to join 5 Live. Thank you so much. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. 42 minutes on the clock here at Murrayfield. It's an Ireland ball inside of their own half. It's James Lowe who's going to kick it down the field, as it is just a mark by Kyle Steyn as he did a sort of a knee slide into touch. If you're just joining us here, this has been an absolutely cracking game of rugby. There is so much on it. You've got Scotland there going for their first Triple Crown in 33 years, also trying to play their way to have their say in this championship on the final weekend. Ireland, of course, if they win this, they're going to be going for the Grand Slam in Dublin on the St Patrick's Day weekend, nonetheless. Right then, ball in the middle of the field. My name's Sarah Orchard. Alongside me, I've got former Ireland international Shane Horgan, also former Scotland international Johnny Beattie, as Scotland are trying to play their way out of their own half, between their own 10 and the 22. Ben White of London Irish, he goes in, gathers up the ball, and it goes towards the forwards once again to get it forward through Matt Fagerson on this occasion. The Glasgow man happy to take the contact as White just calmly rolls that ball backwards for the box kick. It goes high into the Edinburgh sky, and it's a real bounce of the ball, but it's Matt Hansen who scored a try for Ireland in the first half. He gathers, he's got numbers on the far side, big pass out to the far side. It's Ringrose on his 50th cap, he's going to hack that one through. There's no one at home for Scotland. It's still going inside of touch. It's Russell who's going to touch it down, but it was taken inside of the goal area there by Ireland, so they'll come back for the goal line dropout. I turn round, Johnny Beattie isn't even holding his microphone because he is looking so nervous.
No, I'm enjoying the spectacle. Again, Ireland choosing to run from deep, spotting space on the open side and taking the game to Scotland. Another opportunity, but just exceptional rugby.
And smart play from Matt Hansen there. He didn't commit, go for the initial ball, held back, then got it, saw the space and got it out there fast.
Right, James Lowe gathers the ball. He puts his head down and says, all right, I'll take a little bit of contact. Sucks up a few defenders in the process. Sexton gets the ball, gives a real hospital pass to Andrew Porter, who knocks on the ball in the process. It's Scotland who gather. They box kick it down the field, so the advantage is over because it was only a knock on. In the end, tracking back, trying to get the ball once again is Baird. Ryan Baird, he got his chance against Italy in the third round. He played really well. Not often you get a chance in that second row, but with the injury at the moment to Tadhg Beirne, he's getting his chance, and the contest is really rough in the middle of the field at the moment. So physical, this contest. We've actually seen Josh van der Flier, who's a flanker, throwing in the ball at hooker. Such is the problems at the moment and the physicality of this fixture. They're already on their second hooker at the moment, Ireland, after Dan Sheehan had to go off and Ronan Kelleher not happy to throw the ball in. It's going to come back in the end to Ireland, and Matt Hansen's going to hack the ball away. He's forcing Finn Russell just to track across the field. He calls the mark. And you can just tell Finn Russell there, calling them up, there was no one anywhere near him at all.
I think you're seeing the after effects of that first half. The exertions are out there. There was fatigue errors coming in. Sexton threw an absolutely terrible ball there. Porter had gone by him, he fired it into the side of his head. Just uncharacteristic errors. There's not as much tempo this half. I think everybody's delighted that Finn Russell took the mark on that occasion, and it's just a little bit of a reboot.
Again, it's Johnny Sexton not looking right on this near-hand touchline, holding his head. Scotland opting to kick the ball off the field. A real pressure now on this Irish line-out. This will be absolutely crucial to the rest of the game.
And here comes van der Flier again to throw the ball in.
I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I mean, Josh van der Flier is a flanker. He's the World Player of the Year at the moment, so he can do most things, but I'm sure he was not expecting to throw the ball in. That's gone bang over the top. That's why he's not a hooker. And I can tell you what, Scotland will be looking for a lot of lineouts just based on that. It was Turner who came away with it in the end. They pushed down to the far side. This is Scotland on the run now. They really are pushing away down that far side touch. They're approaching that Irish 22. White looks up. He sees Turner. Russell with a flat ball to no one. Someone needs to pick it up. Somehow they manage to get there as they fly across the floor. And White once again has the ball. It's on this near side, popped off. This side, it wasn't actually White who went in to pick it up. It was Fagerson. Scotland ball. White does appear on this occasion. Schoeman, you hear the heave come up from the crowd every time that man touches the ball. Push towards the far side of the field. Hugh Jones has it now. Stuart Hogg winning his 100th cap today. Takes two Irish players to bring him down. Mack Hansen was over the top of that. It's a penalty. It's a good penalty as well for Ireland. Mack Hansen so alive to the opportunity there. And it will be Ireland that clear the lines. And this time, Scotland, for the second time in this match, are going to be marched back 10 metres for chatback.
And that's silly. That's really silly. You shouldn't do that. But how much of an advantage is it for Ireland to get the penalty here? They kick the ball into touch. Yes, they get the line out, but a couple of things are going to happen here. One, Van der Flier is going to throw the ball in. Two, Scotland are going to contest it.
Well, they'll contest everything. The only spot that Van der Flier will be any which way comfortable throwing the ball into is on the 5-metre channel. So if you are the Scotland defensive line-out, you're Cummings and you're Johnny Gray, you're thinking you stack that channel, you make him throw over, and more often than not, he's going to overthrow. So what type of foothold can Ireland now hold in this game from line-out? Half of their set pieces now decimated, and that is a big advantage to Scotland.
Scotland 7, Ireland 8, 48 minutes on the clock, and a change here for Ireland, and this is an interesting one. So they've had to take off the field Ronan Kelleher. He was struggling a little bit. They brought Cian Healy on. Now it looks like Kelleher is going down the tunnel for what looks like an HIA, but it means that they've got 3 props out there at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how any scrum works, or if they will be allowed to pack down or not.
Yeah, is that potentially an uncontested scrum? I think it probably is. But the more immediate problem for Ireland is getting the ball into the line-out.
And that's exactly what's about to happen right now. Remember, no hooker on the field. Josh van der Flier steps up for his 3rd line-out of this match, which was not something I was expecting to say this afternoon. Van der Flier, ball over his head. The Leinster man, 29 years old now, and he's got that one. He's gone tight towards the front. Referee happy that it's made 5 metres. All those little intricacies of the line-out that a hooker has to know and make sure they get right. Murray then, the scrum half at the back. Remember, we could see Jamison Gibson-Park off the bench for the first time in this tournament. Good footwork from Hansen, who's had a real game of it. He has evaded so many defenders there. He knocks on the ball because I'm giving him praise, and that manages to give Scotland a scrum. And this is where it could be interesting with the personnel that Ireland have on the field.
That did look like a strip from Hugh Jones, so let's have a look at.
Takes the ball into contact between Tuipulotu. And it's actually the big back rower, it's Dempsey. That's a clean strip backwards by Scotland, so it should have been play on.
Well, the referee is just having the discussion right now about if this can be contested or not.
Okay.
I think it's not going to be, but I will wait to see. Everyone's very static at the moment. It's one of those situations, because you don't get this happening very often in any rugby situation. Doesn't matter if it's down at the juniors at the weekend on the Sunday morning, or if it is international rugby. These situations don't happen often. And they're waiting for a ball as well at the moment, which is the other problem. Somebody actually needs to make sure there's a ball to go in, and it has arrived now. Ben White has it spinning in his hands. Is this going to be contested or not? I don't think it is. I'd be amazed if it is.
I think from the way they're setting up, absolutely. They've gone through their process. Normally if it's uncontested, you just fold in, but they're going through the process.
Well, Cian Healy was the one that was in there, so he would have been the one that was happy. As the ball goes out towards the far side, taken quickly by Scotland, not interested in another scrum at all. Right over the top again was Hansen, who's got it. Oh, he's an absolute hoover at the moment, every breakdown, but has lost the ball in contact. Somehow Scotland get it back, this time through Dempsey. Oh, you've got to keep your eyes on this. It is absolutely breathtaking stuff. Tuipulotu now with the hack through. It's Hugo Keenan who's coming across the field as it goes into touch. It's going to be a line out again to Ireland under the big biggest of pressures. They've got no hooker. I mean, that's a football chant, isn't it? But that's for another day maybe. And it's going to come towards this near side. It's going to be thrown in by Ireland in this situation. Oh my goodness, what are we witnessing?
Well, you can see again James Ryan bringing in his players, trying to problem solve on the hoof. This is an unforeseen scenario. You don't really practice this in training. It's once a season you get this type of event. So how can they adapt? What are they going to throw? What is their hand they're going to show? How can they facilitate a line-out throw for Josh van der Flier?
We're waiting for the ball to come in by van der Flier. They have managed to hold on to that one. Just a reminder that later here on 5 Live we will be rejoining the football. A little bit earlier today it finished Fulham 0, Arsenal 3. The ball goes high into the air. And a little bit later we're going to be heading to Newcastle United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. That one getting underway at 4:30 with John Murray.
So the other issue for Ireland is that they've got now 3 props in the line-out, and van der Flier is out of the line-out, so they've even fewer options.
Andy Farrell did say in the build-up to this Six Nations, the Ireland head coach, that he wanted his team to be tested. Well, the tests don't get bigger than this. Scotland 7, Ireland 8. There's no hookers left for Ireland. They are just playing with props and flankers, trying to do very specialist positions. And it's Scotland who are pounding away down this near side touch. They need to get closer. Surely they need to come away with something in this situation. White has to place back after he's absolutely scragged and drowned down to the turf. Placed back this time by the skipper, Ritchie. And they're just trying to construct something here, Scotland. They're going backwards, they're not getting over the gain line, and you have to give credit to the green wall that is holding them for the time being. You know that that's Pierre Schoeman going forward. Russell now with the no-look pass that's forward, and that is a bit of a waste, you have to say, from Scotland. And we get to see another scrum, but it's set piece, and set piece is a problem for Ireland.
This is the first real error we've seen in multi-phase from Scotland in attack. Finn Russell going for the no-look pass, forcing Nyes into the backfield, trying to hit a short runner, maybe just being overly cute and taking the foot off the gas. Ireland, they fought their way out of the 22, big defensive hits and collisions, and they win the ball back.
And this is the time for Scotland to retain possession. We're seeing them turned over at ruck time a little bit, so they don't force the error there. Ireland players must be looking around them. They must be thinking, you know, what's going on here? What are we meant to do? How do we get into our normal shape? Because there's been so many changes. Do not let them get their composure back. That's what Scotland should be saying. And how they do that is retain the ball in these areas.
Well, Scotland just make a couple of changes there to their front row. Schoeman and Fagerson, they come off as Batty comes on, as does Bergen. So earlier today in the Premier League, it finished Fulham 0, Arsenal 3, Manchester United 0, Southampton 0, and then West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1. Also worth mentioning in the Women's Super League, it finished Chelsea Women 1, Manchester United Women 0, Brighton and Hove Albion Women 1, Manchester City Women 2, Liverpool Women 2, Tottenham Hotspur Women 1, and at the moment between Leicester and Everton in the WSL, it's 0-0. That one on 54 minutes, while West Ham Women against Aston Villa, Villa leading 1-0 after 57 minutes. There's still Arsenal coming up a little bit later. They'll be taking on Reading. Right then, scrum. Still in the centre of the field, and we get to see Jamison Gibson Park playing his first part in this Six Nations. He was quite dramatically withdrawn from the Ireland team in the build-up to their opening game against Wales. That's when Conor Murray, we heard, was starting. And he's back now, he's in the mix. That's a big scrum from Ireland at just the time they needed it. Huge moment for them. And maybe that's what happens when you get 3 props in your front row.
Well, look, we talked about the momentum swing and the problems for Ireland at line-out time, but Cian Healy coming onto the field, Jamie Batty, Cy Bergen just taking the field for Scotland, and that could be a real problem. That was a demolition job by the Irish pack. Big power, big weight coming through, a clear penalty, and that could be critical as well, the next 30 minutes of this game.
Well, this game up till this point almost has been dominated by multi-phase attack, and whose multi-phase attack was better than the other. The rest of this game could be dominated by who's the best set piece.
There is something so wonderful every time that Josh van der Flier runs up to a line out to put his hands on the ball. He spins it round in his hands and he looks up. I mean, he knows the calls. He's just usually the one receiving the ball, not the one throwing it in. So Josh van der Flier, he goes short once again. I have to say, when you get the aerial view, it's arguable if it's going 5 metres every time, but I don't think the referee is keeping a close eye on that. He's just happy that it's straight because he's at the other end of the line out itself. High box kick comes in the end by Jamison Gibson Park. It comes down inside of the Scotland 20. Oh, brilliant take by Hansen. Pops off to Sexton. Still 3 metres left to go. Is this the Irish opportunity they need to extend their lead? It's Furlong who goes forward now. Gibson Park looks up. Here comes Porter. Big support and ballast comes in to shore up that ball. There's a Scotland player lying on the wrong side. It's advantage to Ireland, so they've got a free hit here. Ireland looking for a second try in this clash. Gibson Park looks up. There is another man there in the form of Healy. He's winning his 122nd cap today. The experience he has, it's still penalty advantage. It's been well slowed down by Scotland. Could they get a card here as well if this continues? Spun out ball. O'Mahony. Gibson Park, they're stringing through the phases now. Aki, he is a battering ram. 1 metre left to travel. Ireland know they need something from this. Big hit coming in from Conan. Takes 2 Scottish players to hold him up. He can't reach, he can't put down. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 8. They try and snipe round the corner, not to be on this occasion. Waiting there calmly, they spin it out wide. James Lowe! Try! Half of Murrayfield is on its feet. The way that the Irish fans have travelled, the importance of this fixture, and it's Ireland that extend their lead on 56 minutes. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 13.
And James Lowe scores to try the left wing, but he'll be looking over to the other side and thanking his mate Mac Hansen on the right wing for an incredible take in the air. That's really what this try came from. A bit of a nothing kick into the opposition 22. Mac Hansen did so well to regather it, and then it was all about patience.
A nothing kick, but perfectly executed. The weight, the distance allowed the contest. Mac Hansen dominates Duhan van der Merwe in the air. And it's all about the physicality, battering that gain line. James Lowe with a bit of footwork, breaks through the tackle of Kyle Stein. And Ireland showing some big resilience, digging deep, finding ways to get across this gain line and find a win. Massive effort.
Well, Ireland have just gone in and had a little huddle in the middle of the field, and they just know that they are absolutely having to stick to task at the moment. They have been thrown so many curveballs in this fixture so far. They've got a little bit of the bench they can still deploy, but it's just making sure everyone is clear, sticking to the game plan. The injuries that they've had really impacted them, but they are riding them well. As Johnny Sexton just lines up this conversion to extend the Irish lead. He's never quit to take his kicks. It'll be fascinating when the shot clock is properly brought in rugby to see how Johnny Sexton really goes. And Murrayfield's getting annoyed with how long it is taking Sexton to take this conversion. But he needed every second because it counted, and it's now Scotland 7, Ireland 15. Just a reminder to listeners on 5 Live, very shortly, in about 5 minutes' time, we'll be heading to St James's Park, the Newcastle United against Wolverhampton Wanderers in the Premier League. But we're sticking here with the rugby for the next few minutes' time. And if you do want to carry on with the rugby, the commentary will continue on 5 Sports Extra. Right, changes then coming in. Scotland, they're taking off the field Ben White and bringing on Ali Price, the 2021 Lion, who has had to play second fiddle for most of this championship so far. But you have to say that link play a lot of time between Ben White and Finn Russell has done well for Scotland, but they need something here. Scotland, they are under huge pressure against the world #1 side, who seem to be able to deal with everything that is thrown at them. From the restart, Ireland send the ball back down the field, and we're going to get to see a Scottish lineup.
And that's what's been so impressive so far in this game, for the adversity that they've had to deal with, especially in the second half. You know, they've lost all the injuries, Van der Flier throwing the ball in, and yet somehow they come out of this period with a try. Exceptional and kind of world #1-esque play.
Josh van der Flier, I'd love to know what his line-out stats are at the moment, is what everyone is thinking right now. Oh, it's pretty good, I have to say. That was a great throw. And ball goes high into the air. It is taken by James Ryan, and they're mauling away down that far side. I mean, it'll be fascinating to see if it's going to be Van der Flier or Mac Hansen who gets player of the match at the end of this, because they're both having stellar performances. It is Hansen who throws out the big pass to Lowe. Lowe always putting on the afterburners. He's going some. He's hacked it on. Was he blocked by Hogg in the process? It's going to be Van der Merwe for Scotland who goes back and gets it on the try line. There's just a rub with just an inch of grass to say that they can play this ball and don't have to put it down. I don't think the referee's going to go back and look at that. That was brilliant play again. The two wings for Ireland teaming up in superb fashion. Scotland kick it out of play on this near side, but it's going to be an Ireland line out inside of the Scottish 22 as Ireland lead here at Murrayfield 15 points to 7.
Mac Hansen is just having a phenomenal game. They're getting him on the ball so often. Every time that loop play happens, he's the second wave, and he's thrown that big pass that time out to James Lowe, who's feinted to slow down a bit, but then put the afterburners on. Big handoff. That's massive yardage from Ireland.
The pivot play and the backline play from Ireland is phenomenal to watch, but I would argue that they should not have this platform. Scotland need to contest hard on the 5 metre channel in the line out. Don't think about anything behind them.
In 5.
Well, the ball has gone in cleanly again from Van der Fleer. He could have a whole new career at hooker, staring right at him. And they're trying to maul this one away at the moment. Gibson Park gives it to Lowe. He's got a lovely low body position, James Lowe, as he just goes in, makes sure he's not in under any danger of losing that ball to any kind of jackler that's coming in. Gibson Park, it takes it into contact. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 15. In a few moments' time, we'll be heading to St James's Park. You can continue to listen to the rugby, of course, on 5 Sports Extra, and of course at 8 o'clock on 5 Live tonight. You can hear all the roundup from the whole weekend Six Nations on 5 Live, and there's also the Rugby Union Daily podcast that'll be available tomorrow on BBC Sounds. As Ireland are attacking 10 metres out with the score at Scotland 7, Ireland 15. We'll just wait to see if they push towards the far side. Conan goes over! Conan scores for Ireland. That's their 3rd try. They now lead here at Murrayfield. Scotland 7, Ireland 20. As we head now here on 5 Live to St James's Park, it's Newcastle United against Wolverhampton Wanderers and John Murray. Well, we'll continue here on 5 Sports Extra as Jack Conan goes over and Ireland are bossing this second half.
Bossing it, but it's again Mac Hansen, the pivotal man. The ball comes down the blind side, a 3-on-2, a little half step, and then picks out the big miss pass. Jack Conan, the man, free on the short side, bundles over, breaks a tackle. A quality piece of play by Mac Hansen. Duhan van der Merwe again guilty of overreading slightly in defence.
Oh, Mac Hansen's done so well there. He's drifted out, then he stepped inside just a fraction. It's held the inside. Hugo Keenan's come on a short line. It's meant the Scottish defence have all turned shoulders in, and then that wide, really flat pass to Conan, who's come in after a difficult season, you have to say, for him, and maybe a difficult 18 months. He's been usurped at number 8 for Ireland by Caelan Doris, who's the wonder kid at the moment. He's come in and had a phenomenal performance.
I think everyone here is a little bit blown away. Not that Ireland are doing well, but just what's been thrown at them to deal with it and consist with this level.
So the problem solving and the thinking on the hoof is fabulous. But if you're Scotland and your defence line-out coach, you're thinking you cannot let an opposition hooker throw the ball on the 5 metre channel. You have to turn your shoulders, block that 5 metre and get up early. Contest, and they're not doing it. They're giving them free ball.
I was about to say that. Why aren't they going up earlier?
I don't know, it's naive. So the problem solving and on the hoof thinking by Ireland is top drawer, but Scotland for me look a little bit clueless at line out time. I don't know why, but they should never in this instance allow Ireland to take ball on the 5 metre channel. It's unforgivable.
Well, Scotland have also gone really quickly from that restart. They know the clock's going to start really counting against them. They haven't scored at all yet in this second half, Scotland. They haven't really had any clear-cut opportunities either, you have to say. As out on the far side, the ball goes down to ground just over the halfway line. Here comes Tuipulotu. I did hear this week, apparently, when you put Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu together, you get Huey Pilotu. Is everyone nodding at that? Yes, that is a thing now. Definitely a thing. Right then, push towards the far side of the field. Scotland on the ball. And they look up. Ali Price looking for options, and it's all the forwards who are making themselves available to him. That really slick pass coming in from Russell. Tuipulotu, he's got that ball just tucked under his left arm, knowing that he's going to go into a little bit of contact. No chance of that one being popped off anywhere. Get to see a little bit of time on the ball there by Scott Cummings, who perhaps wasn't expecting to play as big a part in this fixture as he did coming on early days in that first half. Mistakes there from both sides, but it's been
19, didn't need a push.
Ball has gone forward in the end by Ireland, and it's a penalty to Scotland.
Yeah, and that was silly by Baird. Ireland were in a very good position there. He's hunting down. They're getting off the line faster. Scotland looked to be a little bit gassed out.
Well, gassed out, but playing behind the gain line. So Ireland coming up in waves, dealing with them. A little nudge after the ball gives Scotland now a big opportunity, chance to launch inside Ireland's 22. Just see on the big screen the push after Finn Russell lets the pass go away. But Scotland weren't going anywhere. A little bit naive from Ireland, letting Scotland back into this game, and now a huge opportunity.
Well, just a moment of appreciation here for Stuart Hogg, who's making his way off the field on the occasion of his 100th cap. Blair Kinghorn is coming on, and there's quite a few people on their feet here at Murrayfield, realising that it's Hogg coming off the field, and soon they all realise, they all jump to their feet and show their appreciation for the man. Made his debut back in 2012, only the 4th Scotsman to achieve the accolade of 100 caps, but play does continue on the field itself. Stuart Hogg will be hoping that Scotland's fortunes change now that he's off the field. 15 minutes to play, Scotland 7, Ireland 22. Box kick from Ireland to get themselves out of their 22. Goes out of play on the far side, and it's going to be a Scotland lineup.
That's a great box kick as well by Gibson Park.
Mile.
Taking his side up to the 40. Scotland looking threatening. A chance to launch inside Irish 22. Ireland have pinched the ball, and Gibson Park has launched that ball 40 metres down the field. Tremendous clearing kick.
Now, you two both told me in the first half nobody cares about the World Cup at the moment, but at the back of my mind I can tell you, don't forget they are in the same pool when it comes to the World Cup, and we'll be meeting quite a few times. Right then, ball is in Scottish hands, and they're trying to maul this way, but I can tell you it's not going anywhere, and Price is going to have to deploy. He finds Tuipulotu, who finds Russell. Jones is the decoy runner. Van der Merwe off his wing, rides out of the first tackle. James Lowe will probably be feeling that one tomorrow morning as it comes back once again. Bergen with the soft hands, and eventually it gets moved down the line. It comes in the end by Ferguson, but it's a forward pass. It's well read there by our referee Luke Pearce. They'll come back for the scrum, and there's not quite as much intensity in the second half.
Look, the fizz is dying off. You can tell Scotland exhausted as well. The skill set just letting themselves down. Gibson Park though, the impetus from the bench, the line speed, testing Scotland's mettle out wide. There it's Matt Ferguson out wide, a big forward pass.
He's made the impact on the Irish side, and there's been no equivalent off the bench making the impact for Scotland.
Well, I can see running onto the field at the moment is Hamish Watson, just confirming who will be coming off in his place. Looks like a forward pass might then just cotton Matt Ferguson there. I'm sure that's not the exact reason, but it's bad timing.
Speaking of guys who could make an impact,
an argument would have been made potentially before the game. Hamish Watson coming in to fitness and form, game cut short earlier, making his comeback in the tournament, but there is a man that can make an impact. The pinball from Edinburgh. If you want somebody to challenge that gain line, get you on the front foot, break a tackle with a point of difference, he's your man.
And in the first half, where those easy yards, where the ruck ball was much faster, Scotland never were getting hit behind the gain line. They were just moving on to the ball. It was phase after phase, progression after progression.
12.
It's gone so much slower the second half.
And it's those physical elements we talked about. Scotland there, the phase we've just watched, they got across the gain line, they come wide. The ruck speed is slowed down. Bundy Aki gets a decent contest, and then you've got the Irish pack flying off the line, shutting down the Scottish forward pack, and those big collisions change the way Scotland play.
And here's a half-decent player to bring on.
That's right, our first appearance in the Six Nations of Robbie Henshaw. He had a hamstring, then a wrist injury. He is back, and he's into that back line to get precious minutes. Now, I've just remembered why Mack Hansen is playing so well. I don't know if you guys heard this in the week or not, but I did write it down. Mack Hansen has promised Jim Hamilton, former Scotland's second row, that if Ireland lose today, he will get a tattoo of Jim Hamilton on his foot or his backside.
And if Ireland win, Jim Hamilton has to get a tattoo of
Mack Hansen. There we go. So I've just remembered why he's playing a blinder.
And by the way, you know he has form at this. He has a tattoo. He's lost the bet before, and he's got the tattoo.
There you go. So there you go. So that explains everything we're saying, and you're not missing any rugby because it's all about a scrum that's been reset about 7 times.
That would focus the mind, I have to say.
Being anywhere near Jim Hamilton's enough. Never mind a tattoo on your body. Come on.
Oh, well, there we go. He'll probably get player of the match as well, because that's the way it maybe is just going.
And I can actually see Jim Hamilton about 10 rows in front of us on the left, and he is sweating. Sweating.
I think he's leaving. Is he leaving?
Maybe the tattoo parlour had a slot early. He knows what's coming.
Come on, time off,
right
please.
then. As I said, you're not missing any rugby.
Both teams, be better.
Let's listen.
Be better.
Luke Pearce's advice to both sides is to be better. There you go. And for Ireland to be better, you have to say, well, they are packing down. Remember, they have 3 props in their front row at the moment. You've got Andrew Porter in there, Cian Healy, and I'm just seeing it is Tom O'Toole who is on as well, the Ulsterman. You've got all sorts of different players stepping in at hooker when required. Scotland 7, Ireland 22. Just a reminder, if you didn't hear us on 5 Live earlier, all of the action from the whole weekend of the Six Nations, you can download the Rugby Union Daily podcast. That'll be available first thing tomorrow morning as the ball comes away in the end through Irish hands. It took long enough, and it's Hansen who continues to fly away over the halfway line. Gathered in the end by Gibson Park. He looks up, managed to find a little bit of support in the form of Baird. Still halfway line play. Low, so flat to the line as the decoy runner again. Hansen pushes out to Van der Fleer, who's rolling through a few tackles, needs to take it to ground before he gets to the near side touch. It's so quick from Ireland. I can't tell you what their ruck speed is like at a time where a lot of bodies are tiring out there. It is so fast. They're just not interested in getting that ball stuck in there for any longer than it has to be. Ryan now, and they're just flirting up and down on the Scottish 22-metre line at the moment. You've just got this feeling that something will build, a hole will appear as it's Ryan who goes around the corner again. He gets over the gain line. First time in a few phases that Ireland have done that. Sexton pops off the ball back. That's a really well-read defensive work there by Scotland. That little loop just came in from Sexton. They knew it was coming, and it was shut down straight away. So the Scottish defence is holding for now. There was a loose ball on the floor, and Irish players are flying out of the line just to try and get it. Peter O'Mahony, he goes forward. Mac Hansen, who is continuing to be a live wire in this game. He makes ground, he makes metres again. Almost every carry, he's like a guaranteed metre. And is Johnny Sexton being cuddled by someone? He looks a little bit out of sorts. He's going to carry on. Something strange has happened in the middle of the field there. Referee is pushing back Scotland once again, and this Irish attack continues. We're through 12 phases now, and they push towards this near side. It's really messy, and I'm so glad that referee's finally blown his whistle, and we're going to restart with this scrum.
Ireland won't be happy there.
No, they've let Scotland off the hook, but everybody is out on their feet. You can see now what you never liked as a player, hands on knees, everyone's bent double. They just get away with a double contact, cover up a scrum.
I wasn't sure that advantage was over. I think Sexton had checked out. He was almost waiting for it.
Gone. So again, you can see him walking around.
I was almost worried he'd taken a head knock.
No, I think he didn't want to play to continue. He was like, we've got a good scrum, let's take the scrum. But this is an important scrum for Scotland as well. Ireland with the heavyweight front row here, they'll be going after it in a big way.
And we saw the pressure. Jamie Batty and Simon Bergen crumbled on the last set piece. This now crucial area of the field, exit strategy. How can you get out of here?
Well, Johnny Sexton, his game is over. Ross Byrne is onto the field of play. And I'm not saying this because Johnny Sexton's coming off the field, but when I used to referee Vets games, it was always around 70 minutes that everyone used to turn around and go, should we just stop now?
Are you comparing Johnny Sexton
Not
to
at all.
vet?
And I would just like to say I'm older than Johnny Sexton, so he's a very young man. There we go. Right then, they're going to both pack down.
Time on.
And I certainly couldn't be doing it at his age. Nothing but respect. Just that 102nd cap today.
And now the joint top point scorer with Rog in the Six Nations. He'll have one more game.
Roger will be happy with that.
Had to get it in
when
there,
we
Rog.
say Rog, we say Ronan O'Gara, of course. He's slowly tracking down all of the records that Ronan O'Gara has. So just to confirm, Ronan O'Gara, 557 Six Nations points. Johnny Sexton fast overtaking him as the ball gets pushed out to the far side of the field from Scotland. Have they got a little bit of something here just to make these last few minutes of this game interesting? There's another Irish player who's down injured now. So play continues, but there is a player who's out for Ireland. So they're playing with 14 at the moment. Back towards Russell. He's going to send it down the field. Ireland will want this to go out of play because they are down a player at the moment. It's not going to. It's Keenan who's going to send it back. It's Russell who's just outside of the 22. Little bit of space for him. He pushes towards Ross Byrne, who does gather the ball. He's going to send it straight back. Kyle Steyn is there, as is Kinghorn. And they're going to stop because the player who was down injured is quite serious, and Luke Pearce doesn't want play to get anywhere near it.
Yeah, that should have even been called earlier. I think that's quite a heavy knock for Gary Ringrose. Hope he's okay.
Well, Gary Ringrose, on the occasion of his 50th cap, he took a real clattering around the neck as he went down, and his arms went up in the air, which is always a sign that they need to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, he just got his head on the wrong side. He comes out of the line so fast. He's such a committed tackler, but he's got his head on the wrong side there, and he took a hip bone right in the head.
He's gone head to hip, and it looks like he's then not been able to control at all his impact on the ground either, so it almost looks like a double collision, and it really does not look good.
Okay, so there's a lot of people coming onto the field of play at the moment, and they're already bringing the stretcher onto the field. So there's a lot of detention going the way at the moment of Gary Ringrose, and we really hope he's going to be okay in all of this. So they'll get him safely off the field. Ireland have gone into a little huddle at the moment, and they're just going through a few things about the game. Scotland on the left-hand side, just on their 22-metre line. You are here on 5 Sports Extra. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 22. We still got 8 minutes to play here in this fixture. A reminder, if you're looking for the football, do head over to 5 Live, where you'll find commentary of Newcastle against Wolverhampton right now. John Murray bringing you that one. A little bit earlier today, it finished Fulham 0, Arsenal 3 in the Premier League. Manchester United 0, Southampton 0, West Ham United 1, Aston Villa 1. And I can tell you at the moment, Newcastle against Wolverhampton, that is 0-0 after 7 minutes. In the Scottish Cup, in the quarter-finals, it finished Rangers 3, Wraith Rovers 0. And then in the WSL, there were wins for Chelsea women, Manchester City women and Liverpool women. As it stands at the moment, the games that are underway, Leicester City and Everton, that's 0-0. West Ham United women 1, Aston Villa 2. And then at 6:45, still to come, Arsenal women against Reading women. Right, we are here at Murrayfield. There's a little bit of treatment going on down on the floor at the moment. Rugby Union Daily will be coming your way later tonight. You can listen live on 5 Live, or you can pick it up on a podcast tomorrow on BBC Sounds. 8 minutes to play. Scotland 7, Ireland 22. Alongside me, former Ireland international Shane Horgan, former Scotland international Johnny Beattie. Johnny Beattie, with the scoreline as it is, with the clock as it is, where are you in your hopes and aspirations?
It's going to be very difficult. Let's not shy away from that. Scotland have to score 3 times now to win this game with 7 minutes left. And we haven't seen the ability to break down the Irish defensive line. We haven't seen the ability to find space that we saw. The frenetic nature in the first half really suited Scotland, but as it's become more physical, as has been the case historically between these sides, Ireland have got the better. So it's now a massive task. They'll continue to throw the ball around and try, but the game now, it looks like it's gone.
Are Ireland better conditioned than Scotland, or did they exert themselves too much in the first half? Because there was a period at the start of the second half where I thought Ireland are in trouble here. They've no hooker. They've got Van der Fleer throwing the ball into the line out. 3 other players gone off. No impact from the bench, potentially, apart from Jamison Gibson Park. And Scotland couldn't get around it.
So the game simply is about collisions and how you manage them. When it was about speed and finding space and going wide, Scotland looked fantastic in the first half, finding that pivot around Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones. It worked for them, but as the game has worn on, they haven't problem solved on the hoof, and they haven't had the depth from the bench. They've had people come on. The scrum has moved backwards. Ireland have achieved gain line. The maul has gone forward for Ireland. Scotland haven't competed effectively in the line out, where you normally you'd be stealing all the ball, or you'd have 50-50, you'd give Ireland terrible ball, but Ireland somehow have been allowed to achieve their line out ball and then go forward, and they've achieved, and Mac Hansen's had a field day off the back of those launch plays. So
yeah, I don't think we've seen the individual performances, the exceptional individual performances from Scotland that we have seen from Ireland. Mac Hansen is having an incredible game. Conan has come in and had a phenomenal game, second biggest carrier meters made today. Lowe is having his usual monster game. Now, in that first half, we saw the collective of Scotland working really well. In the second half for Ireland, we've seen the individuals perform and the collective work. Scotland haven't been at the races the second half, apart from that opening maybe 10 minutes.
But the opportunity has been there to take this game by the throat and strangle it and say, you are not allowed line out ball, but we haven't been able to do it. That's the crazy thing. And any other team, you just take the ball at source, and Ireland shouldn't exist, but they've been allowed to exist. And then the physicality and the drive has been the edge. So their bench and the players that you mentioned, Conan, British and Irish line, has that bench effect happened for Scotland? No, it hasn't.
And also, what about the strategy? What's coming on from the stands? They said, why isn't the player going up very early at 1 in the line out? Why aren't they kicking the ball off the field to ensure that, doesn't matter. Give Ireland the line out and see what they do.
They have kicked the ball off the field, but there's been a naivety from the contest from Scotland in that they've almost hedged their bets and said, well, let's try and defend, 5, 6, 7 metres, and Cummings has been half turned. He needs to be fully turned on the 5 metre line, pre-bound, ready to jump with a massive big lift on both sides. That's the ultimate. That's the easiest thing to do, but we just haven't seen it. And that's the frustration, in that with everything that Ireland have had to suffer and go through, Scotland should have been able to boss this game.
And actually, the only line out that Ireland have lost while Van der Fleer has been at hooker, I think, was the second one where he might try to go over the top.
An overthrow, yeah.
Indulge me, if you will. If the scoreline remains as it is, we've got 7.5 minutes to go. Shane Horgan, next weekend, it is the St Patrick's Day weekend in Ireland. Ireland have never won a Grand Slam in Dublin. They have won 3, but not one of them has been in Dublin. And it will be England coming to town. Just remark on that statement as an Irishman.
Motivation.
Are you asking for that? Is it a week?
I'm just looking for a reaction.
What the reaction is, I'm staying on.
Okay.
It is, and this game isn't finished yet, and we don't know how this break and play is going to affect Ireland. Bundy Aki's had to come back in. I'm sure he's going to be stiff, but Ireland are in a very good position. Next week, the first thing they'll have to do is see who's available, who's fit. And listen, without doubt, they've lost some people. Ringrose is definitely not going to be out. He is going to be out, so they're not going to have him. But Henshaw's come back. Aki Henshaw, 12-13, is maybe the second best one we could have. So, listen, depends who's there, but Ireland will relish it.
And so, given Sarah's question, is next weekend now, if this game is finished, the biggest week in Irish rugby history in the past 10-20 years, and what they could offer their public and Dublin in terms of a celebration?
It is, and there'll be huge expectations. Listen, they have recently won Grand Slams, so that big monkey that was on the backs of generations of players that I was part of has gone. They have won a Test series in New Zealand. They have now beaten France away in the Six Nations and potentially set up a Grand Slam. So there's milestones being hit all the time here. Win a Grand Slam before you go into the World Cup. That's another massive one.
Gary Ringrose has gone off the field for Ireland. Play is about to get underway. I have to say, Ringrose, he's come off. He's on a stretcher. He did raise his hands a few times and take a few hands from players as he went off the field. So we really wish him all the best. Scotland 7, Ireland 22 in round 4 of the Six Nations here on 5 Sports Extra. 73 minutes on the clock. Ball comes away from the scrum. Scotland have got to do something, and they've got to do something fast. They're not even at the moment in losing bonus point range as the ball comes back and away towards the far side of the field. They're still going through the hands. It's Hugh Jones. He scored a try for Scotland in the first half. He takes it into contact. He's up to his own 10-metre line. Scottish ball, and that's loose on the floor. Has it been knocked on? No. Referee's happy that it's backwards as the Irish defensive line gets ready to come straight back up, this time into the face of the Scotland captain, Ritchie. Russell, he tries to evade the first tackle and goes round Ross Byrne. Byrne turns, taken down to the ground as they work towards this near side touch. Nice soft hands coming in from Stone, who gives it in the end to Kinghorn. He's going to be bundled into touch. Brilliantly read by Ireland, and they just don't miss a beat.
That monster hit from Peter O'Mahony there.
And that's why he's there. Look, Peter O'Mahony, whether it's line out, collisions, contact on the deck, he's there for big moments. And that is a big one, absolutely taking out Kinghorn over the whitewash and into touch and giving him an elbow for his troubles on the way back up.
And if you're just joining us here on 5 Sports Extra, we've got Josh Van der Fleer, who is throwing in the balls from the line out in the hooker position, because Ireland don't have any hookers left, and that one hasn't gone the way of Josh Van der Fleer. He's had quite a lot of success, so we're not going to criticise him in any way. What on earth happened in midfield there for Scotland? They just seemed to stop playing. Hugh Jones didn't want the ball. He almost let it go over his head because James Lowe was flying up into his face. It's still Scotland that have it, and they are going forward inside of the Irish half. Comes back this time to Russell. He spins a beautiful wide ball out. Little chip over the top from Tuipulotu, but the execution just isn't there at all. And it's going to come back in the end. It'll be an Irish lineup.
A really poor decision, and then a poor execution of a poor decision as well. Not really sure what's going on there. That seems like a fatigue error. Why else would you do it?
Would Tuipulotu do something like that when he's at Glasgow?
Yeah, he would. He's actually very good, normally cultured off both feet as well, but that is just, as Shane said, really poor execution, wrong decision. There was handed the ball back to Ireland.
There was no space there. He wasn't going to anyone.
Van der Fleer goes short. This time it's stolen by Scotland again. As we're waiting for the ball to be spun across the field, we'll be joining 5 Live for an update shortly on 75 minutes here on Extra, though. Still Scottish ball, and Ireland quite happy at the moment just to continue to suck it up. That's been lost forward. Referee happy that it's Irish ball. Advantage over. James Lowe has it. Is he going to put boot to ball? Spins it out in the end to Gibson Park, who takes it. He's got fresh legs. He's spinning away. He's got support back inside. It's James Ryan who's going to score again. No, he just can't get the final pass away. It's Scotland 7, Ireland 22, and Ireland have just absolutely butchered an opportunity to go over for another try. We're on 76 minutes. This is going to be an Irish win. They're going to be going for the Grand Slam in Dublin, but that could have been another try. 76 minutes, Scotland 7, Ireland 22. We're just giving that update to 5 Live. Oh my goodness, James Ryan.
Oh, what play from Ireland though. Yes, the last pass went down. James Ryan should have probably held on to it, but James Lowe is just having, so those wings are having such an impact on this game. He carries the ball right across the pitch, then throws an ultra flat pass that gets Ireland round the corner, and then the fight for Lowe to try and get that second ball back. That was the thing that gave the opportunity for the second row. But Ireland are well in control of the game now and playing some beautiful rugby.
I can't think of another country other than possibly France where wings have such an impact and influence on a game the way that the 2 Irish wings do it. And it's an Irish penalty from a scrum where they have 3 props in the front row. This is stunning.
And now, bonus point, potential. I don't think they'll go to the corner. They'll set a scrum and try and get this 4th try.
Okay.
And they've just absolutely demolished the Scottish scrum again.
They're going to tap and go. Here we go. Cian Healy takes a deep breath. Knows he's got James Ryan with him. Here comes Healy. Oh no! Oh, the pressure. And it's going to be a scrum. If you're going to do it, you've got to execute. And you two are laughing.
Of all the ways to give the ball back, that is just, he's got obvious nerves. He's gone to take the tap with his right foot, but he's missed it because he's so desperate to get down and pick the ball up.
He's gone 90% of the way, and just before he said maybe an inch away, he hasn't, and was praying that nobody noticed. Everybody noticed.
Calamity, absolute calamity.
Well, they did get the penalty from a scrum, so they may have to try and do it again, but it's a Scottish ball. Okay, last 2 minutes. Nothing Scotland can do now except save face and try and Scotland from getting a bonus. Sorry, Ireland from getting a bonus point. Ball's going to come in by Ali Price. It's a big shove. It's a penalty for Scotland, and Scotland are away straight away. Not interested in hanging about now. Ball goes out towards the far side. Ireland need this ball back if they're going to have any chance. It's Van der Merwe hanging out on that left wing as he goes toe-to-toe in the end with Gibson Park put down on the grass. Scotland inside of their own half, between their own 10 and their 22, middle of the park, pushing forward this time through the big body that is Batty. Russell, little bit of a dummy, tries to get a little bit more traction and a couple more metres on the ball as he shows a little bit of a dummy, does the same again. It's Russell who takes it into contact. Final minute here at Murrayfield. Ireland have won this. They're going to be going for the Grand Slam, but can they get immaculate points? They need the ball back. Steyn, he throws himself in, waiting once again for Ritchie to go round the corner. A reminder once again that if you want all of the action, all of the analysis, 5 Live tonight, 8 o'clock, everything Six Nations, with our correspondent Chris Jones and Ugo Monnier, or you can hear it all tomorrow morning on the Rugby Union Daily on BBC Sounds. Right then, penalty for Scotland on the halfway. Tired bodies out there. Not a lot Ireland can do here except wait and see what the Scottish decision will be.
Yeah, Scotland looked tired. They've been very disappointing the second half, John.
It's just been that inability to crack the Irish defensive line. Ireland have been robust. They've shackled Finn Russell and everything around them very well. And Scotland just haven't had that go forward or the freedom they had in the first half. Big performance by Ireland defensively though. Chips down, lots of injuries, personnel coming in, having to shift, perform different roles. Very impressive.
Yeah, a huge amount of character from this display from Ireland. They really have put their shoulders to the mill, or whatever the phrase is, and they've delivered. Mack Hansen, unsurprisingly, player of the match.
Well, someone's getting a tattoo next week. It's not going to be Mack Hansen as the ball goes long over the back. Should say Finn Russell did just limp off the pitch there as the clock has gone red. And here come Ireland. Is this their chance that's going to be to get that fourth try? They're pushed back towards the end of the field. They've lost the ball. It was Chris Harris, and somehow they've managed to get back through Keenan to get the ball. Here they go. Ireland still going forward. They've knocked on the ball. That will be the game. The slam is on. Ireland win. Their destiny remains in their own hands, and it will be Dublin next week, the St Patrick's Day weekend, where everything could be Ireland's. Final score here at Murrayfield: Scotland 7, Ireland 22. A quick comment from both you, Shane Horgan, and then Johnny Beattie. They're a great team, aren't they?
Huge admiration for this Irish side. They had to deal with so much today. Scotland really threw everything at them in that first half, and they stressed them, and they were breaking Ireland down really well. Ireland had the disaster of losing their two hookers and dealt with it admirably, but found another gear from somewhere in that second half. And yes, Scotland didn't really fire a shot, but Ireland took their play to a different level with key players delivering massive performances, exactly what you would want from the world number one.
And big teams, you mentioned the world number one team in the world, but finding a different way. So not just having one way of playing, but finding different ways to win a game of rugby. That's the most impressive part about that win, is that yes, the first half was helter-skelter, but then second half, when the chips are down, when people are off the bench, when you're having to problem solve on the hoof, they did it very, very well, and they found a way to win.
I think
Absolutely superb.
They didn't panic when they had to deal with all this adversity. I was up here panicking, going, what are we going to do? You know, we've lost two hookers. What are we going to do at scrum time? What are we going to do at line time? Everyone was calm, and they just delivered the performance. And it was also very clear that Van der Fleer has been repped in that position before for that exact eventuality.
I don't know how much he's practiced there, but we'll just have to wait and see.
You do not throw in like that unless you practiced it.
Some of them weren't great. Some of them weren't. But on that note, what am I to say? I'm definitely not in the world number one side, because that is what they showed today. Full time here in round 4 of the Six Nations. It's going to be Ireland going back to Dublin looking for a Grand Slam as they've beaten Scotland 20.2 points to 7.